The hosts of the Swine Brothers show are not role models. They're not even human. They're complete monsters. The Swine Brothers show is dumb, crude, thoughtless, ugly, sexist, self-destructive, foolish, and a crime against humanity. Some of the things they do would cause a person to get hurt, expelled, arrested, possibly deported. The fact they blatantly ripped this off from another source should be an indicator of their shameless depravity. This extreme and bad taste will offend anyone with a working brain, so listener discretion is advised. If you're still here, welcome to the sewer of the internet.
God hates us, and it's a beautiful day to shit in my Cocoa Puffs.
Hello and welcome to the Swine Brothers Show, episode 194. It's if you'd like to get into contact with the show, you can email the show at cosmicgodsdie@gmail.com, and Facebook is Swine Brothers. That's facebook.com/SwineBros666, because unfortunately Swine Brothers was taken.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and fucking yell at us. Share this fucker everywhere. Write it on a fucking bathroom stall for all I care about. We suck at promotion. Just share the fuck out of it, please.
I'm your host, Ellie Lindemood. My co-host is...
I am the Jim, the Seeing Eye Mutant, and I guess the Christian of the group. We have the Satanist, who is the host.
Yes, Satan. And we have a very special treat for you.
Yes, this is a How to Waste Your Tax Dollars, 1994 edition. This is 100% taxpayer paid, real life fucking law enforcement cop training.
The law enforcement guide
to satanic cults.
Yes, this is the height of the Satanic Panic, when everyone thought that, they were seeing Satan in a pumpkin, organized occult activity, preschools, of course, were being, investigated, people's lives were being thrown away.
I mean, recently, within the 2010s, we had people released that had been in prison for 20 years for crimes that either they didn't commit and they were only arrested because, oh wow, they wore black t-shirts and listened to the wrong music, when the real culprits had like a shit ton of evidence against them, while they were put in prison simply because with no evidence other than they listened to the metal.
Yep. Or teachers
who
were arrested in the 80s and convicted because there's various preschools who are charged with satanic ritual abuse.
Yeah, which didn't occur. I mean, the thing was, this is a poor fucking barely skirting by daycare, okay? And they expect them to just pick up all the kids, put them on a plane, fly them from one coast to the other coast, East Coast, West Coast, East Coast, perform some weird satanic ritual, then fly them back before mom and dad get off work that same day.
Yes, and they're supposed to have secret rooms where they make skin out of shoes out of the skin of dead babies and all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah, you're pretty much eating abortions at this point, which I think was an actual charge.
Yes, it was. And the thing is, these sound ridiculous, but people were convicted because the children gave forced testimony.
Yeah, they were led in their testimony because, a kid wants to make the adults happy so that way they get to go out and have their fucking, games and shit.
Yep. So these
now, I want you to remember one thing, kids, as we go through this. Video games are a sign of satanic activity. Dungeons and Dragons, rolling your D20, that's a sign of satanic activity. Just everything that we do normally these days. We were doing normally back then, but because there was a panic going on, that's now satanic activity. And correlate that with how video games turn you into an alt-right, bloody, whatever fucking buzzword thing is, as they try to fucking weed out all the Nazis and communists out of society. Well, maybe one side wants to put the communists on a pedestal, and the others want to take it down.
And don't forget, although it doesn't necessarily come up, but don't forget, kids, this is back when Judas Priest were on trial for causing kids to kill themselves because there were backwards messages in the lyrics.
Oh, God, there was that fucking Ozzy song of Suicide Solution, which was, about his friend drinking himself to death. And it was against, drinking too much, drinking yourself to death. But some guy said there was a lyric in there saying, go grab the gun, and that's why this kid killed himself. And it's like, well, the lyric doesn't exist.
And how different to that is, how different is that now, where people scan the lyrics to bands? Well, I don't know. This one lyric mentions runes. That's a little sketchy.
Yeah, that might make them Nazis if they talk about runes.
I'm not lying. This is an actual thing I heard on a Discord server.
Dedicated to metal.
Dedicated to metal. Yes, you've seen it. So, and also, kids, I just for those of you who may not believe it, this is 100% legitimate. This is what cops were spending money on back then.
This is where our tax money went, where police training went. Let's weed out these satanic cults that do not exist. And just so you know, this all started up, I mean, not just the daycare thing that we already talked about, but another thing that happened was a couple whack job kids got into, metal or Satan and decided to go kill people. Because they're fucking fucked up psycho, sociopath, whatever, and just fucked up in the head, and they should have been locked up in a mental institution, but they weren't. They were declared sane because mommy and daddy cried.
Yep, they killed a kid because they wanted to make their death metal band more powerful for Satan. But and they claimed that Slayer's Altar of Sacrifice caused them to kill. But I've Altar of Sacrifice is one of my favorite songs off of Rain of Blood. How many people have I killed?
None, sadly.
I know.
You're so far behind. So am I. I'm even further behind. I haven't killed anyone. And I've been playing Pac-Man for years. And I want you to keep in mind, I've been to fucking church services at the fucking Westboro Baptist Church wannabes around here. That they were that far gone. And they're sitting there trying to find, the medical symbol with the two snakes facing each other, that was supposed to be like this huge Satanist thing, and that's why you should never go see a doctor. Yeah.
The Caduceus, I think it's called.
I forget what the hell it's called. But, yes, this is why you never see a doctor, and bloody, bloody, blah. And, like, God. And you have to remember, this is all fed into the Satanic Panic. Just like, in the 20-teens, 20s, we got like fucking, people saying everything's a fucking Satanist, and you have to look out for all these hidden symbols, and they try to crack down more and more on just every mundane activity you have, now making you a Nazi. That's the way this was back then. Every mundane activity people did made you a Satanist.
For one more example, just because I think people back then actually remember this, the Procter & Gamble thing. They were saying that the Procter & Gamble logo was somehow satanic because it was the moon logo or something like that. And so they actually, I don't know if they changed the logo or not, but yeah, so Procter & Gamble is satanic. So, and of course, Parker Brothers is satanic because they produced the Ouija board.
Yeah, just like Parker Brothers is evil because they made the game Monopoly.
Ooh.
Which promotes evil capitalism. Capitalism is a system where you either work or starve. Socialism is a system where you work and starve. And you have to work or get a bullet in the head. Now, fuck off.
Exactly. Now, without further ado,
let's get past the staticky of everything. The link will be down below. You can follow along if you want.
Yes.
The start of the video. Gun video catalog. If you find any defect in this tape, return to manufacturer in 30 days.
No.
I love this music. It was the beginning of this fucking safety video I had in high school about wear your eyeglasses. They had a dartboard set up with the fucking circle in the middle, the bullseye cut out. The guy put his eyeball in there. And someone's throwing darts at it.
Due to the graphic nature of this program, viewer discretion is advised.
Anyways, they threw darts at it until like a fucking dart hit the bullseye and went straight in. Law Enforcement Guide to Satanic Cults. That's what we're here for. Police training. Your tax dollars well spent. Trust the government.
I'm Gordon
please.
Coulter. For many years I served as a law enforcement officer. Today it's my privilege to host this program on a little-known area in law enforcement, but important to every small community and every large city across our vast country.
I just have to say, I love how they have at the bottom. They call him, they have Gordon, his name, and then like a ripple it says he's a cop and a pastor, as if there's no conflict of interest here.
Well, of course.
Gotta keep them the fucking numbers up.
I'm not even surprised.
It's the area of satanic cults and how they impact our families, our children, and our communities.
And our dogs.
In satanic occultism, that which is good is bad, and that which is bad is good. And as you view...
He's kind of like, Michael Jackson. I'm bad. I'm bad. I don't think Michael Jackson raped all those kids he was accused of raping, but he certainly raped people's taste in music to suck. Personally, I prefer, and my shadow weighs 42 pounds to tell me once again, I'm huge, I'm fat. It's great.
View this learning and educational tape. Pay attention to notice the reverse of everything that is normal becoming abnormal. There are many crimes that are unsolved in our cities, and many of those crimes have ritualistic overtones, but they're hard to find, and it's difficult to find the depth of where these things go and who may have done them. And so today we hope to be able to shed some light on a dark, dark area, an area that has been taboo for so many years, that is also protected by the United States Constitution and the freedom of religion.
You have to remember that every time, the kids start doing weird shit that, I see videos kids make today on fucking YouTube and, people posting shit from TikTok on YouTube. It's like, yeah, okay, kids are doing weird shit again. Like, we didn't do weird shit. Or things our parents found weird shit when I was a kid, And like this just crops up like every generation. The kids are doing something I don't understand. We have to declare it evil. Whereas in the 2020s, it's everyone's a Nazi. Back then, everyone's a Satanist because the kids are doing weird shit I don't understand.
Well, you were a mild victim of the Satanic Panic.
Oh yeah, I was declared the Satanic Baby Killer Jeanette because one day I got into heavy metal and decided to go to school wearing, death metal t-shirts. Or I had a t-shirt for the Metallica Black album on because that's what was big at the time, and that was one of the things that got me into metal, even though it's like fucking bland garbage to me these days. Back at the time, it was like the biggest thing ever for me and awesome, and and you gotta remember how lame the fucking Black Album, Metallica Black Album is in comparison to fucking, let's say, Morbid Angel, especially, Covenant, Blessed Are the Sick, Altars of Madness, those things, or like the depiction of, the album cover for Eaten Back to Life by Cannibal Corpse,
or Tomb of the Mutilated.
Mm-hmm. And, oh, yeah, eaten out of a vagina of a zombie. Yeah. This is like, so the t-shirts for the Black Album were like, here's a snake with like a skull on it. Ew. And that's what made people call me a satanic baby killer,
So you were accused of having some sort of satanic portal in your backyard,
Well, it started off that I was sacrificing infants to Satan, and I was burying their corpses in my dad's backyard. Okay, but when my dad's house went up for foreclosure sale, no infant corpses were found in his backyard. So the legend shifted from me burying them in my backyard to me opening an evil portal directly to Satan to hand the dead infants directly over to him. Which, if I could have opened up a fucking portal to hell back when I was in high school, all my bullies would have been sent there. They would have just disappeared off the face of the earth. So if I had that kind of power back then, dear fuck. No one would have fucked with me because I'd be like, okay, off the hell you go. Wait, what? And you gotta remember, this is back when I was a rambunctious teen, and the principle of everything mattered. So it's the principle of the matter, and that's why you're gonna fucking be banished and blah, 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 blah. Because that's how kids are, you know?
Oh, yes, I remember. But if you had a portal to hell, I might actually respect you.
Mm-hmm. Anywho.
That's why it's very difficult for us as law enforcement officers to really investigate. But the question really is, where do the freedoms end and our responsibilities begin?
Usually when a crime has actually been committed, like, you know, theft, arson, murder, you know, something where you're actually committing a crime, you know, not like, you know, just listening to the music and shit. Or you know, fucking shit. Elliot and I threaten to murder each other every day, but that's because we're friends and shit.
I'm going to come down, strangle you with your own intestines, and then, you know, drink all your beer.
That's okay. I'm going to lure you off a cliff because, you know, you won't be able to see where I'm at, and you'll either walk towards my voice, which will cause you to fall off the cliff, or walk away from my voice, which will cause you to fall off a cliff. I know where cliffs shaped like that are. I even know where a nice plateau is, where no matter what you do, you're fucked.
Yes, but then the one person who would avenge my death, and you know who I'm talking about, would track you down and murder you.
Yes, but I would have you falling due to your own stupidity and blindness on film. Because you should have just stood still till I, like, said, oh, yeah, this is stupid, and led you out. Instead of, like, trying to move away. Because eventually I'd hit the point where it's like, yeah, I don't feel like killing him.
But so, yeah, we do that all the time. But, oh, just you wait. It gets so much better.
For our communities.
Satanic cults and their various offshoots exist throughout the world. However, a difficulty immediately arises with the word cult. Many
I like how this is a picture of an Egyptian goddess eating a baby.
And by the way, check out that awesome 90s soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
That was every, like, information film when I went to school, because I went to school in the late 90s, early 2000s, but a lot of the videos are from, you know, the 80s and 90s, so they still had that, like, bad synthesizer.
Yeah,
you know.
that was, like I said, this fucking safety videos I watched in fucking Votech had those, like, everything. Oh, God. Even our fucking driver's ed videos, which were like, you know, don't drink and drive, and they're showing us, like, you know, autopsy reports and shit of people who died.
They changed in about 2006 where they started making, like, new videos with rap songs and, like, actual lyrics, and, you know, we were using actual songs, and I was just wondering how much they had to pay to get those songs.
Yeah, I know, that had to be a pretty penny.
Probably nothing.
Probably nothing?
They probably just, you know, didn't tell them.
Huh. Yeah, that might be it.
under the protection of the United States Constitution, the freedom of religion. When we talk of cults and Satanism from a law enforcement perspective, we have to tread lightly. That is one of the reasons it is so difficult to investigate satanic cult activities.
I just love how it's always banned the First Amendment, banned freedom of speech, banned freedom of expression, banned freedom of association, banned, freedom of religion, which is also freedom from religion,
I remember reading an article someone sent to me. They wrote this article is written in the mid to late 90s. I want to say like 94, 95. And this was sent to me just by someone who knows I like this weird stuff. It was all about the then new trend of cyber porn. The growing menace. Can we protect the kids from cyber porn yet hang on to freedom of speech? This is from, I believe, the New York Times. And of course the New York Times said hell no to freedom of speech.
Well, of course, everyone wants to say fuck freedom of speech because they want to be the ones in power, not realizing, freedom of speech means you're able to say things that the general public disagrees with, and the general public will always disagree with you on a lot of things.
Yes, but yes, cyber porn, which is funny how what a cash cow, quote unquote, cyber porn has become with like OnlyFans.
Yes, oh god, gotta love them fucking actresses. Some of them are pretty fun.
I wish I got paid to ghostwrite half the shit I ghostwrite, but whatever. That's more erotic fiction than porn.
That's a form of porn, which would be banned.
We know what the satanic cult professes to believe. We know what their potential for violence might be if they choose to be true to their belief. We even have evidence, here and there, that leads us to believe that some sort of rituals are taking place. However, unless we catch them...
Now what?
I'm a Satanist, as everyone knows. Now, as far as what manner of violence is, my true belief, well, yes, I kind of want humans to be expunged from this world. However, I also know I don't have the power to do that. So, no, I do not sacrifice humans or babies or definitely not black cats. I love black cats. But no violence will... Probably a lot of blood and vomit, but no violence. Well,
inversely,
not much violence.
Inversely, I have never been a Satanist, and, my religious beliefs have never centered around eradicating all humans from the planet. So, but yet I'm the satanic baby killer of Jeanette, Pennsylvania.
Which is funny because I started wearing Burzum shirts and things like that at the age of 12 or 13, and you'd think I would be called a Satanist, but Marilyn Manson was the big thing, and he was like the boogeyman back. There were all these myths about Marilyn Manson and puppies and ribs and all that. But you'd think I would have become some. But I was just a blind freak. They just left me alone. I never actually heard any satanic. It wasn't until I was 14 where I was declared the next Jim Jones. It's too bad Jim Jones is really fucking boring.
Yeah, he did all these things to help the community so that he could make a better name for himself because he was only concerned about making his own name better. That's why he, decided to say no to, helping out people where, his name wouldn't be known because he was part of a council. You'd be on this council, yeah, but the council gets the credit, not me. Fuck that. Kind of like, most of the fucking, internet socialists today, they refuse to get involved with groups where their names don't get known. But they'd rather get involved with groups where their names are, prominent, and they're able to say, see, I did something good, yay!
Exactly. He did do a lot of good things, but yes, it was all... A lot of it was... At least, maybe not at first. There's some debate about first, but yes, he did not join the San Francisco, I think it was Human Rights Council, because he wouldn't get the credit. It would be, it would be a collective. And then he went off to Guyana. But that's not why he's boring. He was very sort of prudish about sex. Fuck that.
Yeah, prudish about sex, but gotta fuck them toddlers.
Yeah.
What a fucking moron.
Them actually breaking the law, or find evidence that leads directly to participants in some illegal activity, we have no case.
Well, you shouldn't have any case if they haven't committed any crimes. Fuck you.
But yet, how many people get arrested for...
How many people got arrested for, just the suspicion of something that was just totally made up on the spot, and they were just recently released in the past decade?
Kids, Google McMartin's Preschool in West Memphis 3. You're welcome.
West Memphis 3 and McMartin Preschool.
And one other that I can't remember the name of.
Yeah, but these are people whose lives were destroyed because people made up things about them.
Yes.
Or, with the McMartin kids, there was a real crime that happened, but they were nowhere near. There was no evidence linking them to it. But because they had the black T-shirts and listened to that blasted metal, they spent 30 years in prison, 20 years.
16, 17. Yes, there were a couple boys that were murdered, and these 3 kids from West Memphis, Arkansas, were found guilty because there was more evidence from one of the stepfathers, but yes. So they spent 17 or so years in prison, I think it was. They got out about 10 or 11 years ago.
Yeah. So it's yay, you just happen to listen to wrong music, and with no fucking evidence behind you, you're in prison.
At least for them, though, they were arrested at a fairly young age. So although it sucks being in prison, and death row, by the way, at least most people know they're innocent, and, as long as you leave Arkansas. What about those McMartin teachers who were, condemned and spent 30 years in jail, and now they're 75 years old?
Yeah,
or
you
even
had
older.
kids that are like in their 30s now able to start making something in their lives because, they were wrongly arrested when they were kids. These people that were adults and then arrested, now they're in their 60s and 70s and their lives are completely destroyed. How the fuck are they going to eat?
Well, yes. How are you gonna eat? How are you gonna find a job? I mean, and don't forget how much the world has changed. I was reading an interview with Randy Lanier, a racing driver who spent 25 to 30 years in prison for, cocaine and marijuana transport, and he was like, I get confused by the world now because I've been, he went to prison in the 80s and he came out in the late 20-teens. He's like, I get confused at Walmart now.
Yeah, I mean, because that's huge. What the fuck is this price scanner thing? What the fuck does that... Because that didn't exist.
And all the computers and...
Yeah, we're talking going from analog fucking, you push a key down that hits a gear, fucking lever that hits a gear that does something inside the machine to make the number come up, and it types the number as opposed to you press what looks like a TV screen, and now the numbers are just popping up real quick, and you're running this, putting the item over the thing that scans the barcode, and that's completely alien. And like, you also have to remember, back in the 80s, stores were like, this is your meat shop, this is your produce shop. Now we're able to buy a TV and a fucking, full 4-course meal and all our clothes at the same store. As opposed to having a separate shop set aside for each of those things. You're able to go in and get everything at one shop, and that's just like, where the fuck do I even go if you didn't at least ease yourself into it by growing up with it, or, you grew up in a world where this is all you know, then yeah. But like...
Exactly. They had Walmarts in the 80s, but they were big. Basically, they were big, but they were mostly Southern. They hadn't branched out to... And nowadays, Jim, I bought a computer and a burrito in the same store.
Yeah. That's gonna fuck with people. Just confuse the living hell out of them. Not just the technology level, but the fact that, and fuck online shopping. That's gonna be completely alien. It's like, I remember mail order, but this is a completely new level of I don't know.
Especially if you're older, especially if you're 70 or 80 years old. It's like, where has my life gone?
Yeah, and now you're so old you can't really adapt, so you're just gonna wither away and die on the outside. And sit there pondering whether staying in prison would have been better, because at least you knew what to expect in prison. Now you're on the outside and can't adapt because you're too old to, and everything is just so alien to you. It's like, it's like literally space aliens abducted you.
Hopefully they have family. The reason I diverted, I really just wanted to point that out to people who. Maybe, because yes, we laughed at the Satanic Panic, and we will continue to laugh at it, including probably several times this episode.
Yeah.
But just remember, it has serious consequences.
Yeah, I mean, for me, just having the rumors that I was the satanic baby killer, yeah, there were a lot of places that refused to hire me based on my reputation alone. I mean, if I wasn't such a snot-nosed kid with limited means, as in I had to walk everywhere, I might have thought of, just trying to go, a town or two over to find employment sooner, as opposed to just sitting there crying to myself because no one was hiring me where I could get to.
Yep. But you made something of yourself.
Mm-hmm. I had to fight and claw for it,
Yeah.
It's not like I'm some huge fucking thing, but, I get,
well, you're huge.
I mean, hell, I
huge
get to legitimately say I'm not a biker, but I play one on TV. That's a fucking pickup line at bars and shit. I can say that honestly, but this is because I had to fight and claw my way up, even though I sat there and cried a lot with the fucking victim mentality, and that really held me back. God, if I would have focused less on crying to myself and more on getting shit done, I'd probably be in a far better spot now.
And by the way, kids, before we continue, Jim is a huge fucking thing, just, more literally.
Yeah. Nothing can beat the blob.
But so am I. I mean, when we interviewed King Fally, I'm sure there was some tonnage there.
Mm-hmm. He would have set off the fucking elevator beeper.
The problem involved with the cult explosion is becoming a many-faceted puzzle confronting law enforcement today. Not only is it difficult for us to understand the secret practices of satanic worship, but there are deeper reasons that go beyond mere lust for power and the unlimited drugs and deviant sexual behavior that go with it. Unfortunately, the police investigator attempts to analyze these types of crimes with his routine of criminal investigation.
I want the deviant sex.
Yes.
In the cases of satanic practices involving deviant sexual behavior, the investigator forgets the offense was committed by an abnormal person influenced by many strange and complex motivations, and therefore, law enforcement's analysis of the crime and the criminal must be guided by the principles of abnormal sexology.
Abnormal sexology.
That's an album title. Jim's influenced by strange and abnormal motivations.
I just remember, I think this is like sometime in the 90s, like mid to late 90s, where like there was this chick who was discharged from the fucking military because someone ate her out. And like, you know, that was called forcible sodomy, eating pussy. You know, it's a common activity. Everyone knows how to fucking suck on a clit. And if you don't know where the clit is, oh boy, are you in trouble. You've got to learn where the clit is. That's the key to making, you know, someone who's had 26 kids, you know, revert to like near virgin tightness and like, you know, just getting them off once, you know, it's fucking great. You know, you're not only just pleasing the girl, it's going to help you out too. So yeah, yes. But you know, eating pussy is like forcible sodomy, and they couldn't do anything legally to him, but they could kick him out of the military for eating pussy under forcible sodomy.
This is not to be confused, by the way. I was just looking it up just really quick. This is not to be confused with the tailhook scandal, which was, I believe, actual rape. This was something different. I'll have to look it up a little bit more, but yes, George Carlin was talking about the different rules. I'm not surprised because there are so many different rules that the military has.
Mm-hmm. Anyhow,
drink up.
Sexology, abnormal sexology.
It is imperative that these cases be solved. They are vicious, revolting, and create fear in any community. Men are apprehensive for the safety of their wives, mothers, and daughters. Women for their children and themselves.
Notice how the man's not afraid for himself, you know, because they think only the cock can rape or something.
Well, maybe they don't think about gay. Well, actually, just keep watching.
Oh, God.
It is only through proper training that the police officer can hope to gain the ability to understand and recognize which are regular offenses and those that belong to cult behaviors.
Now remember, kids, proper training.
Yes, this is proper training. This is what your tax money went to.
So just keep that in mind, kids. This is proper training.
Mm-hmm.
Is a law enforcement problem. Therefore, all law enforcement officers should be familiar with the different types of degeneracy, so they'll be able to associate the type of criminal with the offense committed.
I am the king of degeneracy.
Charge and prosecute the criminal in an intelligent manner.
There is no intelligent manner, only degeneracy.
Yeah, Jim is shoot on sight.
Exactly. Degeneracy. The 3 levels of Satanism. Yes, beautiful fucking 80s, 90s fucking
There are
synth.
3 general areas and levels of involvement in satanic occult worship. The first would be dabblers. They're people who just use it for fun and games, may be involved in some video games and that kind of level, possibly a little graffiti. But
video games and graffiti are Satan. I want you to remember that. Pac-Man. And fucking, you know, spray painting, you know, your name on a wall. That's, you know, how you get into Satanism.
But Jim, if you spray paint the upside down cross, I mean, you must be satanic. Just like if you spray paint a swastika, you must be a Nazi or something.
Well, you remember, these guys generalize a lot, so it's literally, if you spray paint, "Hi, my name is Jim." That's satanic!
Well, the peace sign, as I told you, or the anarchy symbol, I believe, was an occult symbol. So, Jim, you were cultist, you?
Yeah, exactly. And you also have, like, the whole entire deviant sexual behaviors things, eating someone's ass. That's Satan. Eating a pussy, that's Satan. Getting a blowjob, that's Satan. Doing it doggy style, that's Satan. It has to be missionary only. And you have
video games.
Condoms, that's Satan. Yeah, well, video games,
yeah.
And we're not talking, Grand Theft Auto. That didn't exist yet. We're talking Pac-Man, Space Invaders, maybe the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles machine, Gauntlet. That's Satan.
I think this was around the time where Doom had just come out, and that was their big fucking bugbear was Doom. Mm-hmm. Remember, they latched onto that. Marilyn Manson as well, of course. But Jim, Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, it's hilarious now, but the fear that Dungeons and Dragons created, to the point where when they created a TV show, Watch Dogs had to neuter the show.
Oh, what was it? Monsters and Mazes? What the hell was the name of that fucking
Monsters
movie?
and Mazes, that's it, with Tom Hanks, I think it was.
Yeah, that was huge. Like saying, look at this! Dungeons and Dragons is evil. It makes you do this. And God, there was the one from fucking the Chick Tracks where, like...
There was, yes.
No, Elf Star! What?
I just want to be Debbie. I don't want to be... because she was lost in the game. Because it's, evil...
Yeah, it's like, and then someone killed themselves because... I mean, anyone that's played Dungeons & Dragons knows your character dies, you roll up a new character. This person, their character died, and they had to commit suicide. Yes. And it had to be the most strict fucking Dungeons & Dragons group ever. Because it was like, no, your character died. You're kicked out of the group now. No!
Well, Jim,
How the fuck does that work?
You've seen the people
all the time. How the fuck does one death get you, like, not just like, okay, you gotta wait till the next game even, that's strict. But this is so strict, you're kicked out of the group entirely. You can't go to that DM anymore. Your one character dies, and the DM refuses to have you as part of any of their groups. That's like ultimate hardcore rules. Things that I can't even fathom, especially in a game where it's like, can everyone show up on Tuesday? If you can find people that can show up on a specific day of the game, they'll take you no matter what. That's so hardcore.
Well, yeah, we've had to organize. It's hard enough to organize 3 people.
Mm-hmm.
Those things. So, it's video games and graffiti. But don't worry, you're just dabbling.
Mm-hmm. You're just dabbling with Satan.
But reasonably innocent. The second level would be those that are involved for spiritual reasons, and they recognize that there's power in the worship of Satan. These people generally worship together and try to find the mystery of it all.
Worship together and find the mystery of it all, like going to a Christian or Catholic church,
Yes.
That's exactly what they do. It's just,
But we want power.
Yes, power. Which is why all the politicians at least, sit there and give some lip service. See, I go to church come election time, even though they never do. Other times, it's just, when elections come around, they show up. I go to church.
Well, of course, Trump offended the religious right, like, a lot. And then as soon as he was, elected, it was, got to pay lip service to them.
Yeah, exactly.
It was hilarious.
And then the third level would be criminal involvement, and that's the area that interests us. These people actually believe that they gain power through criminal activity, through killing people, through various rituals that are against the law in our states and in our country.
This is as opposed to killing people in a way that is not against the law, such as being the government. Being the government makes killing perfectly legal and therefore cannot be ritualistic because it's legal to kill people that way.
Gordon, you got to work on your delivery. Also, again, I just want to point out that, like, yeah, there are a couple, murders, but as I said before, they were mostly just mental
Psychotic
kids.
whack jobs that were like fucking left on the fringes and said this would be cool.
Yeah.
Just like, whack jobs. Like, I remember you saying that you were involved in this one atheist group and people were crying, I can't believe that an atheist would murder people like that. It's like, bitch, you share one idea. That doesn't mean you share so many ideas you have the same headspace,
I was involved in atheist groups and I started adding atheist people as friends because I was an idiot. I think I offended all of them. Anyway, some atheists did something in a parking lot, killed someone, or they definitely killed someone. And somebody posted, someone I talked to a couple times, I can't believe an atheist would kill someone like that. That's just I can't believe that. As you said, you agree on one concept, but and to people, well, Slayer told the kids to kill them. Oh, come on! If they hadn't heard Slayer, they would have done it because the lawnmower told them to, or because the chainsaw told them to, or the toaster told them to.
Bark, 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 all night long. Bark, 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 bark. Go kill people, Fred.
Okay, doggy. By the way, does the toaster tell anyone else to kill, or is that just me?
Exactly. Oh, God.
Eric Pryor is a former satanic high priest turned Christian who now spends his time educating people about the dark side of satanic cults.
Okay, was he ever a satanic?
Yes, let's see what this expert has to say.
I don't think he was even a Satanist ever. He just found a claim to fame and took it.
Oh, no. He's real, and we're going to listen to him. And yeah, sarcasm, of course.
When I was a practicing occultist, oftentimes I would come into this park and practice on various different holidays, lunar holidays and occultic holidays, and we'd actually have rituals in the park when we didn't have a space to do rituals indoor. So what I'd like to do is take you into the park and just kind of show you one of the places that you would start asking your questions and start looking to see, what the occultists are up to. There's two different
that's
communities.
Actually true.
What?
Well, when you were asking about basements or attics, and we don't have basements here, and I've never seen an attic big enough to actually hold people. So yes, a lot of times it does happen in the park, including all the drinking and underage,
sex and like people listening to music and just hanging out because you have no space anywhere else because you live in California and California sucks.
Yes, I know. Well, yeah, it's you were talking about parties in your attic, and I was like, I've never seen an attic that big.
That's because you suck.
That use this park. One is the pagan or occultic community, and the other community is, of course, the homosexual community. Interestingly enough, they go hand in hand.
What? You just sit there, start conducting a satanic ritual, and someone decides to butt fuck you out in the middle of it, cause you gotta remember their picture of gays at the time was like, they just run around and fuck you and don't even fucking ask for consent.
Yeah, that was the yes. Or what they actually mean is gay satanic sex orgies. But I told you to wait for the. I told you it'd come.
This is just like okay. Because, we just got done with the AIDS thing, and now gays are tolerated and permitted to be in the open. We gotta, hurry up and cower now, because, oh my god, homosexuality, bisexuality, lesbians, all that's still evil, so we gotta keep going.
So apparently gays are Satanists now, or something.
Yeah, let's drink the menstrual blood.
And so, see, here you go. Upon entering the park, you can see they've already got started. Okay. This is a pentacle.
Yeah, it is a pentacle. It's a standard pagan symbol, not satanic. It has to be inverted for satanic.
Oops, you
this
stopped
is
screen sharing.
I paused the video.
No, I didn't hear the after the homosexual thing.
Okay, what the fuck? Because I was still screen sharing.
Yeah, that's weird.
Interesting thing about this pentacle
There we go.
is it's an upright pentacle. This is not a satanic pentacle. Now, the reason why this pentacle would not be considered satanic is because it has one point up. Now, Satanists would reverse this star, or pentacle as it's called, and have 2 points up. Those represent the horns of Baphomet and or the horns of Satan. But now, right over here, I can see on a tree here, there's a inverted cross. Now, this is satanic. This is a very generic symbol.
Generic?
Well, it's actually fairly fresh, too. This here, of course, is a bastardization of Christianity, and it's a very common symbol. Obviously, they probably had a party or a ritual here within the past night or two. Usually what they'll do is they'll mark.
I'm sorry, but that looked a bit older than 2 nights. That looked like, at least 6 months.
It does sound like a fun party, though.
Yeah, we got drunk and spray painted a bunch of trees.
It's almost like a path. They'll mark a path to kind of show you where the action's at. The colors they'll use will be white, red, and black. Those are the dominant colors of the satanic movement.
It's also the most common spray paints you can find.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's more convenience than anything else.
Yeah, if you're gonna fucking sit there and spray paint, you're gonna grab the fucking cheapest, fucking most available thing. And black, red, and white are the most common spray paints you find.
And he would know. I'm the blindy, but he's actually had experience.
Yeah, I know. You'd find these at dollar stores even back in the fucking 90s. That's how we spray painted half the fucking playgrounds while we were drunk with different obscenities and shit because we were fucking teenagers.
And basically, well, okay, over here, see? Here you go. This, well, see, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, what you're looking at here is called Voodoo Vivi. This is kind of like a coat of arms, if you will, for the demonic. And
this looks like it was just recently spray painted within the past hour. I mean, that's how... I've done a lot of vandalism, okay? And how clean and white this is... I mean, part of it looks like it might have been a couple days old, but the other part looks like it was the past hour, especially the part with the canes. That's way too clean, for it to have been like, oh, this was here during, like, some activity last night, even. Because, whatever. It's like, yeah, this is recent. And, like, you could tell where the overspray is, like, really bad. It looks ultra fresh there. And, like, someone didn't know how to hold a spray paint can. Like... part of this looks like, yeah, okay, someone knew what they were doing, but most of it's like someone didn't know how to hold a spray paint can for graffiti, so they just slopped it together. And if you pay attention, over in the fucking left side of this picture here, it's about 9 minutes, 11 seconds in, you'll notice how they have the canes facing outward on the one side and inward on the other. So it's like they couldn't even get that right. Now, yes, that might be a kiddie mistake, but that's also a mistake someone that, doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, but they gotta make it look legit would do, It's kind of like whenever people spray paint the swastikas turning to the left instead of the right, and then saying that's, because, like, any fucking neo-Nazi with their work always has it turning to the right, But, like, someone that wants to blame a Nazi will spray paint it and accidentally spray paint it to the left, or have a couple of the edges pointing differently or something like that, because they want to make it look like a fucking Nazi did it, but,
So this is either a teenager or a setup for a photo, for a camera shoot.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm guessing the latter, because this is a photo shoot, and some of this looks way too recent. And
the implications of this is definitely satanic. when I showed you earlier the one pointed up star as we first came in, and I told you that, you know, the implications of Satanism are 2 points up. As you can see, there are 2 points up here, and someone has made it very clear they were probably worshiping Set, because it says Set here, so it's pretty obvious. Now,
the way they have Set spelled, they have it spray painted in such a way it could also look like they're trying to spray paint sex. And it's got a squiggly mark on the end, like they wanted 2 S's too, so it's like, what? So it's not like they were worshiping Set at all. That definitely looked like a fucking setup.
Yes, but I love the wording. It's we think that they might be worshiping Set because it says Set. Really, but basically this is just a random hodgepodge of occult symbols. There's no actual deep meaning. This is just, it literally sounds like something you would spray paint drunk.
Yeah.
Now this here, if I'm not mistaken, looks like a money VV. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were here on the park doing a money ritual. And this is very typical. This is the kind of thing that you can expect to see not only on crime scenes, but in areas where occultists hang out. Like gang graffiti, occultists kind of communicate to each other through their graffiti. On the rise there up here is a very flat area, concrete area, that is used often. I even frequented it for ritual practice. Well, there you go. You can see from here 666 and an eye. Now that eye above 666 is an Egyptian eye. The eye of Anubis.
I can't see it.
So I can tell by looking at this eye that these people that were up here were into ceremonial magic. These aren't witches. These are definitely Satanists. You look at these dumpsters. See, this is how they talk to each other. Now, what you see here, this is gang graffiti, okay? And this is how gangs talk to each other, okay? But now this is how occultists talk.
Go ahead.
Jesus, this is literally just a random hodgepodge of occult. It's like it's more at most serious teenage Wiccans, or like pagans, or like maybe, you know, like someone who
more than likely it's just a bunch of underage kids that found someone 21 to buy them booze, and they just spray painted shit, and like, you know.
I'm saying
that doesn't even look like real gang graffiti. It just looks like someone trying to make gang graffiti.
At most serious, it's try-hard teenage Wiccans. At least serious, it's, you know, yeah, kids who got drunk, or cops attempting to stage a photo shoot, you know, or a video shoot to try to.
Now, the thing that's supposed to be like the gang symbol and shit, that looks fairly recent. He's currently pointing at a mushroom that looks dated. That actually looks like it was legit graffiti from some kids. But, you know, I'm high on drugs. I was on mushrooms, and I'm going to draw a mushroom on
This is why I brought you in, because I wanted you to see the graffiti and things like that and actually tell me about it.
I mean, this reminds me of the Kukas, or the Kukas, from, like, their spray paint was all over Jeanette, and I think it was just one kid trying to act like he was part of a gang that he was never part of. I mean, it was really good graffiti, too, but, like, you know, I think that's what it all just boiled down to. This kid wished he was part of a gang, so he made one up and said, I'm part of that. And here's our graffiti everywhere.
Reminds me of the Cinnamon Roll gang story, where someone was trying to make fun of a punk gang, so wherever he saw their colors, they spray painted cinnamon rolls. CRG.
To each other. This here is a psilocybin mushroom. So probably they had a psilocybin ritual, which is not uncommon. Occultists are known for using
or they could have just been getting high to have fun.
And this was probably a psilocybin ritual. Okay, here you go. Shem Hemperesh is a satanic invocation, and Hallie is also part of
it. That could have just been like some kid's first and last name. You know, we did that a lot.
Is another word for God, which is one of Anton LaVey's many, many blunders. is that he used Shem Hemfarash as a satanic, but that's actually another word for God. So
Yay!
yeah, that's one of LaVey's many mistakes.
The satanic invocation. There is a book out called The Greater Key of Solomon. And in The Greater Key of Solomon, you will see on the seal of Solomon this word. All right, from what I can
But the whole entire books of Solomon were about God.
Yes, I know.
And, like, you know, yeah, Solomon had alchemy shit in it, but, like, it was still, you know, let's praise, you know, our Lord Yahweh, or...
Well, people confuse Satanism, alchemy, and magic, or paganism and, like, magic, you know, ceremonies all the time. Like here.
tell from the graffiti and everything that I've seen, and what I see here on the concrete, it looks like they actually had the ritual here. Now, there's an N here for north, and there's an S over here for south. Now, while these are not the true directions, obviously someone had a bad sense of direction, I'm assuming that this is where...
Yeah, if they had a single Boy Scout with them, they would have had the proper sense of direction. And a lot of fucking party groups even had at least one Boy Scout with them.
Or also, Jim, there are some people believe that in like the guys from Blasphemy grew up in Canada, and they went to a certain cemetery, and they believe that part of the cemetery was an entrance to hell, and that's one of the satanic portals. So they might have been facing south, or you know,
in
that
hell,
is actually,
but like it wasn't actual hell. They were just on a lot of drugs.
a lot of drugs and a lot of. I mean, the ancient cemeteries are creepy and awesome places as well.
Yeah.
Where they actually had their ritual. One of the reasons why they would use this particular area to have a ritual is it is on concrete, and it's a nice open area. When we used to come up and have rituals, and we had a group, we would look for an open, flat space. This is an open, flat space. This would be an ideal place for them to have a ritual. Now, if I was a solo occult practitioner, I might do it in the bushes somewhere and have a little altar set up. So what you're doing is when you come onto a scene and you're investigating a scene, you look on the ground and you'll find clues as to what happened. Right here, okay, we have a rope here. This is a noose. And actually, if you look at it closely, I don't know if the camera can pick this up, but there's blood.
It's a real shitty noose, by the way. It looks like someone just threw it together in 2 seconds with a piece of old twine. And then just put it there. It's kind of like the way you'd stage a prop. Because, like, you know, for it to be that old, but yet in the open, you know, you would have had to have moved it recently. It would have been well covered to be that old. You know, just sitting there for that long.
Just sitting there in the open, in a park, in a public park.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right on top of all the mulch. Oh, God.
Blood on this noose. Now, this could have been used either to bind someone up in some type of a ritual scourging, or it could have actually been used on an animal that was sacrificed. When sacrificing a cat or a dog.
Yeah, most satanic cults I've bumped into never sacrifice animals.
Yeah, we don't.
Because animals are cool.
And we only tie people up for fun.
Mm-hmm. That's usually whenever, you know, the strap-on gets put on, the chick starts fucking you up the ass, it, like, starts choking you, and you start screaming, why? And she says, because I own you. And then, you know, out come, like, the whips, and, like, you know.
How many nightmares do you have, Jim?
You're forgetting, I grew up with my dad's porn collection.
No, I'm not forgetting. I just thought it'd be a funny soundbite.
Dog. Of course, animals move around a lot and they get unruly, so they would tie it up. But there is blood all over this particular noose. Now, these are the kind of things that you'd be looking for. What we have here is a medicine bottle of 2% xylocaine. For those of you with medical knowledge, you would know xylocaine, known as lidocaine, is a numbant. It's used to numb people.
So someone had a toothache. That's pretty much what it was. They partied, they had a toothache, they put it on to get the toothache going down, and it fell out of their pocket. If that wasn't a plant, because that looks really fresh, so it could either or, because like if you partied there a while ago and forgot it and it got rained on, it would look different. That looks really fresh.
And you're saying that noose looks like paint rather than blood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for that matter, animals. And of course, if you're going to ritually sacrifice an animal or a human for that matter in a public place,
you're going to want them to scream regardless, because you're a psychotic maniac.
Well, that was also a South American dictator gave, helicopter rides, death helicopter rides, where they would, they would throw enemies out of a helicopter door, but they would drug them so they wouldn't scream. It's like, you morons. I want them to, if I was that insane and I was literally throwing my enemies out of a helicopter, I'd want them to scream, At
least as a deterrent to others, do not piss me off.
I mean, look, in Long Live the Queen, Charlotte knew exactly what we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you tying me up? We're best friends. Must sacrifice you to Kraken.
Kraken, suck my balls.
you don't want them to be screaming in pain. So it's not uncommon for occultists to use something like this, and of course, here we have it. On this tree here, we have some more graffiti. It's in red, which is a classical satanic color. Now, what's interesting here is the number 9. 9 represents the 9 satanic statements. You can find this in a book by Anton.
That could either be a 9 or a 4. The video quality is really horrible. But it could either be a 9 or a 4 the way it's drawn.
Oh my God.
Sanser LaVey, which is called the Satanic Bible, and you will see that there are 9 satanic statements. This is the way occultists tell each other, hey, we're Satanists.
It actually looks like someone spray painted 411 and then decided to make the ones upside down crosses.
And
411 was just starting to be the information thing, so like,
And everyone knows my opinion on the Satanic Bible. Edgy atheists.
Edgy atheists.
And we're partying.
The 9 Satanic Statements from the Satanic Bible by Anton LaVey. Number 1. Satan represents indulgence instead of abstinence. Number 2. Satan represents vital existence instead of spiritual pipe dreams.
Cock.
Number 3. Satan represents undefiled wisdom instead of hypocritical self-deceit. Number 4. Satan represents kindness to those who deserve it instead of love wasted on ingrates.
Love wasted on ingrates.
Number 5. Satan represents vengeance instead of turning the other cheek.
So far, this sounds like the yuppies we keep bitching about all the time. Fucking trying to fucking ruin everything. Screaming about their woke or whatever the fuck bullshit they're on today.
The interesting thing about the satanic statements is they do actually chime a lot with a lot of other satanic practices. Where we differ is, it really is Ayn Rand and Nietzsche dressed up in spooky costumes to shock mommy and daddy.
Yeah.
Whereas I believe in more of a, spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6. Satan represents responsibility to the responsible instead of concern for psychic vampires. Number 7. Satan represents man as just another animal, sometimes better, more often worse than those that walk on all fours, who, because of his divine spiritual and intellectual development, has become the most vicious animal of all.
That
is literally like a PETA thing.
Yeah. Well, look at the Satanic Temple and look. I mean, I know you were saying don't call yourself something about why you call yourself a Satanist because the Satanic Temple, has basically defiled that name and made it mud. And the reason I do it is to piss them off.
Yay. Piss them off. Because they suck.
Because they don't like... Because, let's be honest, they don't like having me around. They don't like having someone like me.
Like, you hear half these fucking vegans go off, and that, like, number 7 was, like, all they say. It's like, yeah, man's just another animal. Fuck man. I eat vegetables because they are so cruel to animals and each other.
Now, I'm not saying that it's not wrong. Man is another animal, and more oftentimes worse. But, hey, animals eat other animals.
Exactly. It's called nature. Deal with it.
And that's why, actually, I'm not going to eat you. You're probably toxic.
Yeah,
God.
I'll kill you. Doop.
Number 8. Satan represents all of the so-called sins, as they all lead to physical, mental, or emotional gratification.
Masturbation.
And number 9. Satan has been the best friend the church has ever had, as he has kept it in business all these years.
Hey, keeping things
That's
in
a lot
business.
what black metal says.
This is the symbol for the Church of Satan, and this is kind of like their crest, their coat of arms, if you will.
I have no clue.
This would imply that these people either have affiliations with the Church of Satan or perceive themselves to have affiliations with the Church of Satan. Everything that we've seen here indicates Satanism.
Different ritual sites will have...
I like how most of the shit spray paint on the ground looks like it was just freshly painted there, like in the past hour.
And the funny thing is, the Church of Satan, of course, they're the only recognizable form, because the Satanic Temple, or the fake Satanic Temple, was years away. So the COS was the only recognizable form of Satanism, which is funny because it's atheism. That's all it is. It's atheism with using Satan as a symbol. It would basically be like, I'm a Christian, but I don't believe in God.
Yeah, pretty much.
Of different configurations and markings, but this gives you a good example of what to look for. First, upon entering the park, the pentacle and inverted cross were displayed. Second, further up the path, we found a voodoo vivi, which indicated a money ritual. Third, at the open cement areas that are common to satanic activity, we found...
Okay, I finally got a good look at that one that they showed for 2 seconds.
Okay.
Let me go back to
Good
it.
example of what to look for. First, upon entering the park, the pentacle and inverted cross were
Hold on a
displayed.
sec, let's get back to it.
Second,
Okay.
further up the path, we found a voodoo vivi, which indicated a money ritual.
Money.
Third, at
Oh, this is great. So, okay. They have SATA spray painted in one area, LSD in another, 666, and, of course, the swastika turning the wrong way. Remember, kids, always draw your swastikas turning to the right, never to the left, always to the right. Hey. Why do Nazi skinheads wear red suspenders anyway? He doesn't have to tell you. It's time to give him one more haircut real close to the shoulders, like, whoa, look at all that PSI coming out of his aorta artery. Off comes the head.
Yes.
God damn. This is like, childish fucking graffiti. The only thing...
Yeah.
They really tried to make... It doesn't say Satan, it says Sata. S-A-T-A.
Sata.
There's no N on it. There's no hint that there was ever an N drawn.
Maybe
Either
maybe
it was some kid, trying to make up something cool, or they tried to plant it but didn't have enough paint to make the N.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say some guy ran out of paint. Some kid ran out of paint.
Because the SATA is laid on pretty thick.
That's
the
funny.
open cement areas that are common to satanic activity, we found graffiti that showed recent activity. In addition, we found a bloody noose and a xylocaine vial.
A painted noose. And someone had a toothache.
Fourth, on the way out of the park, we found another inverted cross and...
Oh, that's a better picture of it, and that's definitely a 4, not a 9. So someone's painted 411 with 2 upside-down crosses for the ones.
Ooh, spooky.
It just sounds like some kid saying, let's develop information from Satan. 411.
And the number 9, which, as we demonstrated, represents the 9 satanic statements from the Satanic Bible. Fifth and finally, we found markings indicating that the ritual was by followers of the church.
All right. So you got the Ouroboros, the infinity symbol, with a line coming down from it, with 2 lines going down from it.
Yes.
Does that sound like one of the symbols you know?
Well, if it's the Church of Satan, then I'm not as familiar with the Church of Satan. They basically take a bunch of different occultic, but yes, that symbol's used before.
And that also looks like, someone drew balls and a cock. And the 2 lines across equal, double penetration.
The infinity symbol is it's
so
sort
common.
Yes, extremely common.
Church of Satan.
Behind me is the city of San Francisco, a city known for the first satanic church in America. Anton LaVey established this church under the freedoms of our country in 1966 and wrote the Satanic Bible.
Which sucks.
Anton LaVey, perhaps the best-known Satanist in America, compiled his years of cult knowledge into 2 of Satanism's most important handbooks, the Satanic Bible and a companion, the Satanic Rituals. The general practice of Satanism promotes 3 basic areas of attraction. Gratification of flesh.
Which sounds like masturbation.
Gratification of ego.
Which is pretty much all online interaction.
And power.
That's pretty much anyone that dabbles in politics.
Give me power!
Some Satanists, and a significant number of others, feel that Satanism is a viable way of getting supernatural help because they are too distant from the good God to have any hope of reaching him.
That's not usually the case. It's usually because they fucking... Well, tell me. You tell me.
Well, we believe that to side with God is to remain a prisoner and basically be weak. The whole thing about Satan is about independence, rising above,
It's not about, oh, wow, God's so far away I can't reach him. It's about, I got the power to do shit on my own.
It's not about, well, I'm such a bad person, God won't listen to me. That's what they mean, is that I'm such a bad person and I haven't been to church. God won't listen to me, so I'll just turn to Satan. That has nothing to do. It's the belief that God is actually...
There's some pitiful pudwhackers that do that, but most seem to be in it for... Even the fucking edgy atheists are more into personal power, even though they like to cry and whine and say that they're so oppressed.
Yes, but a lot of it's because we view that God is actually more harmful than good.
Perfectly understandable, considering, crusades and shit. I say that's work of man, but,
Plus, if God exists, he created you.
Yes, but I'm the ultimate joke. That's why I was created.
That's true.
The good God and his virtues, such as beauty and joy, are essentially impractical.
What?
That sounds like the whole entire fat acceptance movement.
I'm not touching that one.
I just did.
Well, yeah, but wait, Satanists love beauty. What are you talking about? How many, like, attractive women have you seen? Satanic and beautiful, architecture and things like that.
Isn't that like part of the seduction of Satan too? To have beauty.
Yes.
That way you lull people in with their base instincts.
Yes, and by the way, people, if you'd like to point out that Jim made fun of the fat acceptance movement and is about 1,200 pounds.
Yes. I wish not to be accepted by those people.
No, I don't care.
I'm
Well,
fucking 6'2", about 375.
That's what pissed me off because you know me, I like big,
Mm-hmm.
And
I typically date larger women myself, but
yes,
it's not like a huge must-have for me. It's just the
No.
way things work because I like their personality. That's what I go for. Are they compatible
someone thought
personality-wise?
But the point is, someone thought that was like me, like a fetish thing, and B, trying to be part of like the acceptance movement. I'm like, it just happened.
Yeah, that's just
And
sort
it
of how it
continues to
happened.
happen.
It's not like I want to be part of that fat acceptance thing at all. Fuck that bullshit. I mean, God, there's health problems that come up from being obese. I know this. That's why I keep active, and I still stay fat somehow. So, but of course my activity level isn't probably what it should be. But, I'm somehow still kicking, still moving and shit. I only got minor problems just starting to creep up mostly because of age. Like,
Yes.
erectile dysfunction. Yay, that was something I never thought I'd have. And after I hit 40, oh fuck. What the hell happened to my testosterone level? Give me a shot, man. Fucking crack me open a fucking pubescent kid, drain all his fucking hormones and put them in me. I want that.
You'll like overdose on Viagra.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, a kid! It's lasted 5 days.
It's lasted 16 years, rock on, but it hurts so bad. No matter how many times I masturbate, it never goes away.
But anyway, so Satanists love beauty and joy. That's part of the seduction, and that's part of why. Yeah.
And it would be easier to catch the notice of an evil god than a good one.
Do you even care about catching the notice? Like, I don't even give a shit about catching the notice of Jesus. I just like to fucking follow the words and shit because it makes a bit of ethical sense to me.
Jim, this is literally, if I was 14 years old, I would completely agree. If I was 14, 15 years old, I would completely agree. This is literally a teenage impression. This is hilarious. Because this is exactly what teenagers think.
Yes, 13 years old. Woohoo! I know everything about everything because I went to
remember-
school
do
and
you
have
remember-
internet.
do you
Well,
remember a
back in
couple-
my day, I knew everything about everything because I could special order books from the library because we didn't really have much of an internet back then. But
Library? Do you remember a couple of years ago we read an interview with Varg Vikernes, and it was a fake interview. Like it was, he was exaggerating and joking a lot, to talk about publicity. But one of his things was, he said, "We heard the word joy on TV, no peace on TV, so we burned down a church." Now, obviously, that wasn't why he did it. He was just, saying it to, wind people up. But people believe that. But yes, we heard the word peace on TV, but that's a teenage thing.
mm-hmm.
And this is a very teenage impression of why people would turn to the left hand.
Mm-hmm.
Not even.
To better understand Satanism, it might be appropriate to talk about some of the initiation practices for Satanists. And to better understand them, you would take a look at what might be traditional Christianity or some normal faith, and if you reversed it, it would be something that Satanists would embrace.
Initiation into Satanism or a similar cult usually includes a spoken denial of the Christian faith, generally accompanied by saying the Lord's Prayer backwards.
We didn't do that because I can't speak backwards for shit. But yes, of course we denied the Christian faith. It's fun.
Yeah, but how's that different than when you're fucking taking your vows and your what's it called, communion and all this shit doing there, just to become a Christian? It doesn't sound like it's any different.
That's
Oh
exactly
wow,
what
I
they're
say the
saying, is
prayer
that it's-
forwards.
That's exactly what they're saying here, is that it's not different, it's reversed. But yeah, we blaspheme. I deny Jesus Christ every single day of the year. You know what, Jim? I decapitated Jesus once. And that is my most proud moment of my life. I guess we had like a statue of Jesus that we got when I was a baby. I was playing with my dachshund, Charlie, and throwing a ball, and I threw it, and it hit Jesus and decapitated it. And I was so happy.
And my one buddy wanted to get a tattoo with Jesus on the cross, but his one hand, he was using it to masturbate through the hole in his hand. I was like, this guy was saying, if you could get the most blasphemous tattoo ever, I will put it on you for free. It's like, he's like, cool, free tattoo. I'm going to go get this.
If he got that, did he get it, or?
I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I doubt it. But I don't sit there and go over every inch of his body. That's for his wife to do.
That's not what I hear.
You can die now. You can die in so many horrible ways. Initiation in the cult of Jim requires a fifth of whiskey.
But anyway, the point is, it's like, yeah, we do that. It's fun.
Rebaptism in Satan's name and taking a new name to replace the given Christian name.
How's that different from baptism?
An oath of allegiance to Satan while standing in a magic circle, entering the initiate's name in the Book of Death.
Yay, Book of Life.
We didn't have a book. We didn't have a Book of Death. I gotta ask my satanic priestess. Hey, where the hell's your Book of Death? I want one.
Mm-hmm.
But no, a lot of this.
Well, that'll probably just get you bludgeoned to death with a book.
We did have to do the whole blood thing. You take some blood, things like that. That hurt, by the way. I don't like. I hate needles and daggers and shit. She called me. Oh, fuck off.
Me and Jeff were drunk one night, just cutting each other up. That was fun.
Yes, I know you were.
And a promise to sacrifice children to Satan, and marking the initiate with the devil's mark.
Oh, so that's where the satanic baby killer thing came from. Okay. Yeah, sure.
Yes. Just for people who don't know, a lot of this is not true at all. I mean, yeah, there are rituals involving magics, well, pentacles or whatever. We stand in a pentacle, but no, I did not promise to sacrifice children for Satan. I promised to sacrifice children because it's really fun.
That was before you were even a Satanist.
Yeah, exactly. I thought kids were only for eating.
Mm-hmm. Because we are Gwar, we got guitars.
And we'll go far, we'll eat your car.
Gwar, 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 gwar.
This program is designed to help law enforcement officers better understand satanic cults. Now remember, all satanic people do not commit crimes. Some of their activities are perfectly legal. But there are some things that some Satanists do that lead to illegal behavior, and some of them seem rather innocent on the surface. Some of those things might be just simple vandalism or trespass.
Both of which are crimes.
Yeah.
Cruelty to animals that might...
Cruelty to animals. I can't tell you the number of Satanists that hate cruelty to animals to the point they'd rather kill someone for being cruel to an animal.
My priestess friend, if she caught someone being cruel to animals, I don't even think she'd hesitate. She'd rip them limb from limb, slowly, painfully.
Mm-hmm.
Might be detected through mutilations and sacrifice. Kidnapping, whether they're adults or children, or even kidnapping of animals.
There's a service out that you could pay someone to kidnap you. And there was a guy who had his date kidnapped just so he could rescue her. Could you imagine the mountain he has to go through in order to get laid after that? Just for her to get any pleasure, because, I was kidnapped, but he saved me, and it was so good, it was such a good high. Now we gotta do even more to get into that high mode.
Like lock her in a case for 12 hours
and then free her saying, I freed you. It's just not the same without the kidnappers.
Okay, fine. No food either. Okay, that's better.
Yeah. God.
Rape, molestation, child abuse,
Yeah.
If you met, I'm sorry, I may not be a Satanist, but I bumped into enough of them to know that, you're going to die if you commit those three things.
Again, if my satanic priestess friend saw you doing that, again, rip limb from limb, very slowly, and I mean very slowly.
Just like any rapist, child molester should be, just tortured to the point where they pray for a death that doesn't come.
Yes,
and they continually be tortured for the next 17 years, kept alive just solely to be tortured because you're a fucking rapist child molester.
And if she found out you kidnapped someone for that, or kidnapped a dog to be sacrificed, I don't even think she'd rip you limb from limb. She'd rip you like, I don't know what.
Slowly flay off the flesh and force you to consume your own.
Yes. For years.
Yeah.
Child sexual abuse that may be different than just harming a child. Ritual abuse. Arson. Murder, which might include human sacrifice, or mass murders, or cannibalism.
We're playing Grand Theft Auto. Arson, murder, that's Grand Theft Auto.
Again, if she saw you doing that to a kid, I don't even know if she'd rip you limb from limb. She might just go for your head.
Mm-hmm.
She might be too enraged for torture.
Yeah, you might just have a quick death.
Yes.
Drug trafficking, sexual trafficking of children.
But that's like
drug
fucking
drug trafficking. Drug trafficking. I know. There is a branch of Satanism that basically says do hard drugs, destroy your life. I'm not one of them, but sexual trafficking of children. Again, she might be too enraged to torture you. Like, yeah, she might just think you need to be expunged, but it will hurt.
But arson, murder, drug trafficking, and sexual trafficking of children—that sounds like MS-13, not Satan.
Pretty much, yeah.
Corpse theft.
You know where a spine is.
Human spine. Human spine.
Cemetery vandalism. Black market sales of bones and skulls.
Black market sales of bones and skulls.
Jim, I don't know anything about this.
Good.
Black market baby selling. Pedophilia.
Black market baby selling.
Anyone with this baby? $200. Anyone with this baby? $200. Come on.
$200 for a baby. Get it while it's still screaming. Straight from the womb. It's a newborn. My newborn. $200.
Excellent pedigree.
And of course, pedophilia, that gets you murdered by a lot of people, including Satanists.
Again, too angry to, like, because there's some, I mean, yeah, we always talk about torture or whatever, but some things you're just too angry at them to torture. And you're like, you know what?
Die.
You're too good. You're not good enough for torture. You need to be
expunged. You just
expunged.
need to be expunged from, existence because you're a pedophile.
And I know her, and I know exactly. We talked about this, and she's told me graphically what she would do if she found something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Pornography.
So there goes the internet.
And
the internet is pure Satanism. The internet is for porn. The internet is for porn.
I'm actually running a satanic. Anyway, never mind.
Drop your socks and grab your cocks. It's time for porn.
Welcome to the world of demonic MCP, Jim.
Yay.
Torture.
That's your typical BDSM session.
We torture ourselves every week for your entertainment.
Yes.
Desecrating churches or other religious buildings.
I don't know anything about that.
Human slavery. Weapons violations.
Oh, so there we go. That's like fucking every pro-Second Amendment person out there.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you, it might be legal in one area, but it's illegal in another.
That's every person in Texas.
Yeah. The state of Texas is enslaved by Satan.
Ooh, that's a good song.
Suicides, disposing of animal parts.
That just sounds like you work at a butchery shop. You know, out here there are quite a few butchers, you know, because there's a lot of, like, deer hunters, and, like, you know, they go out and they got to have a place to have them cut up, and they don't feel like cutting them up at home. They take them out to the fucking butcher. And, of course, there's people that still have cattle around here. I'm close enough to the countryside that there are still cows that, you know, we need to turn into, like, delicious liver and onions.
Oh, I'm sure your landfills are a veritable ossuary of animal parts.
Probably.
Legal entry into mortuaries and cemeteries.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, that's usually a good spot to, like, go and smoke a bowl, you know.
As far as
because, like, no one's, like, watching you, you know. If it's a, you know.
As far as churches, I don't know how those instruments went missing, and I don't know why all of a sudden the shitty punk band had a huge Marshall stack.
Exactly.
I don't know anything about that, except for, dude, this church had a Marshall stack.
I know.
Like, because like some churches have, like, you know, rock bands or whatever, and usually it's just some shitty amp, but this church had a Marshall stack, and a certain person wanted it.
Necrophilia, or having sex with dead people.
Okay.
These things may or may not.
Okay, what?
I know someone who's actually tried this. I told you I knew some degenerate friends, right?
Yeah, that's real degeneracy. Crack open a cold one. Crack open a cold one. No, not like that!
His report was, can't. Because they're cold.
Because they're cold. Yeah.
And stiff, and yeah. I mean, yeah, there are fun songs like Code Blue from TSOL, but yes, he's dead now, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, there have been stories about things like. But yes, I know someone who tried it.
They're not a Satanist. They were just on drugs.
They were not a Satanist. They were on a lot of drugs and not very smart.
Yeah.
Not be satanic kinds of rituals, but they're important to note in your reporting because they would fit together in a fabric as follow-up investigations might indicate a deeper need to look into the dark side of your community.
So half the shit wasn't crimes, and the shit that was crimes could be done for a variety of reasons.
Including drugs.
Or, you know, being in a gang that's an organized crime outfit, no connection to Satanism. Or, you know, teenagers trying to act like they're hardcore, or fucking people just robbing each other, or, you know, jilted lover sets fire to home after killing her, you know.
And most crimes that they mention would, okay, maybe not like, the way she is about, you know, the whole grave thing is basically like, well, why did you do that? You know, not condemning, but like, that was pretty stupid. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But things about, like, sexual abuse and things like that, yeah,
that typically gets you murdered by people.
Yeah, well, Satanists especially.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think Satanists are...
so far against, you know, rape and pedophilia, that's
wait
like,
a minute.
God.
Wait a minute. Maybe this is actually an anti-Catholic film.
Yeah, because, you know, there is that fucking whole meme about, you know, the pastor fucking... priest going around and fucking, you know, here's a confessional.
It must
baby,
be
suck
very
the
hard.
cock.
Well, that's what happens when you have to. I mean, other churches get it right, and you know, you don't have to give up all sex in order to be a pastor or whatever. You know, so you
Catholic,
can have kids.
you give it up, they're going to get frustrated, and how are they going to do that frustration? I mean, some will have healthy ways, others, let's get the choir boys.
See, some of it I know about is getting on with the nuns, especially the nuns in training, and they'll go along with it. But yeah, a lot of it's the choir boys. So I can't imagine, being a Catholic.
So note them well and ask the investigators to do a little further follow-up if you find any of these indicated in a crime or in a police report.
Necrophilia.
The tools of Satanism. Tools, my God.
I swear I've heard this music before.
There is a difference between Satanism, voodoo, and witchcraft. And what I'd like to do is show you different altar setups so you can familiarize yourself with how these people operate and their various different paraphernalia.
So you're going to get down to specifics on how to place which candle where. And, like, you know, whenever I've seen many fucking pagan groups, like, just set up the way it made sense to them. And it could be found familiar with any other generic thing, including Satanism.
Watch and learn, Jim. Watch and learn.
Oh, God.
These particular groups that I'm going to show you the different altar setups of are the type of groups that would most probably be involved in criminal activity. While you wouldn't find all this stuff at a crime scene, you will find evidence that they have been at a crime scene. For instance, you might find something like this pin here, which is used to penetrate a pulpit like we have sitting here. But then again, there are other things that might be left behind that would indicate voodoo. Now, voodoo is colorful.
I like how there's, like, used cigarette butts on the table, and that's a sign of voodoo. Someone having a cigarette is voodoo.
So, Jim, how's your voodoo thing going?
Hold on a second, let me grab the pack of cigarettes here. Open the fucker up.
I'm gonna need another energy drink soon, fuck.
Yes, go forth and conquer.
Smoke up, Jim.
And usually beads and shells are associated with it. What you're looking at here is 2 small conch shells and some beads. Now this is what a priest would put on the necklace, such as I'm wearing here.
This just looks like some do-it-yourself fucking home art project that people try to sell for like 30 cents at a flea market.
Now, just so you know, it's kind of hard for me to comment on this because I don't know much about voodoo.
Yeah, I don't know shit about voodoo, but this just looks like generic shit that you would find at a fucking, you know, flea market for like 35 cents. You know, just generic jewelry that you'd even buy the kids out of the fucking quarter vending machine.
Nice.
This would indicate high priesthood. You might find...
So you pay a quarter to get a necklace out of the vending machine, and that makes you a high priest. It only takes a quarter to be a high priest.
Doesn't that make...
Dear God. Everyone's a high priest now. Enjoy.
Conches like this with beads. You might find powders like this left behind. And this is the type of stuff that would usually be left behind in a crime scene. You're not going to find candles intact, and if you do, you might find a candle very similar to the one I'm holding here.
No, one of the saint candles that like all the Catholics use.
Yeah.
Also, the powder looked like cocaine, and you're not going to find much of that lying around because they snorted it all.
Now, you might look at this candle and say, well, what makes this candle different? Well, first of all, any candle that's used in Santeria, Macumba, or Voodoo generally will have a patron saint on the front. Now, this is the saint that they would be paying obeisances to, you know, lighting the nicotine up to, drinking the rum to, and smoking the cigar smoke to.
Drinking with a cigarette and a cigar, yeah. That's voodoo.
Well, isn't that what King Fowley had to do? He had to drink like cigarette, eat an ashtray if he lost a drinking game?
Maybe. Yeah. That's disgusting.
But on the back, it'll have a prayer to that patron saint.
Like your
that is
typical prayer
only
candle.
Indicative to candles used in Santeria, Macumba, and Voodoo. Another thing that you might find would be small vials like this. These vials will contain some type of a ritual oil. Usually these oils are poured over a coal in a ritual practice. You might find a lot of empty...
Or like, you know, incense or perfume. Just saying, that's what the vial looks like.
Oil vials at a ritual site. What you're looking at here is a classical satanic altar setup. Now, there are more than one type of satanic group. There are rogue satanic groups where you have a bunch of young people that get together and they read books such as the Satanic Bible by Anton Sanzer-LaVey, or some of the stuff that is published by the Temple of
The
Set,
thing in the
which is
center
also
looks like an
another
action
large
figure.
Church of Satan. But now
Temple
an
of
organized satanic group has an organized way of setting up its altar.
Is that a pole dancer action figure?
Is that a what?
What you're looking at here is
A pole dancer. Stripper dancing on a pole. That's what kind of looks like a pole dancer action figure.
classical satanic altar setup. It's very Spartan. 2 candle holders. 1 candle would have a white, 1 would have a black. You'd have a Baphomet candle in the center, or a Mendes goat is what it's called. You would have a male candle on the left-hand side and a female candle on the right-hand side. You would have a skull, which is considered the barrier of death, and a bell to ring for each one of the 9 satanic statements. And they would ring it. You would also have 2 ceremonial daggers. 1 ceremonial dagger is actually used in directing the forces of magic, the way occultists would do that, as in directing their powers. And the other dagger, which would be called a bolane, would actually be used in ritual work. If I were going to sacrifice someone, I would use my bolane. It's considered a working knife. So in a satanic altar setup, you're always going to...
I gotta sacrifice my semen.
You mainly use it for for like a blood ritual. You might prick someone's arm with it or something like that.
Or cut up the fucking herbs with it.
Or if you want to do some sign a contract in blood.
And the themes, and these are fucking, those 2 knives are actually typical against many, many different things, from Wicca to fucking everything. One knife you use to actually, cut the herbs, or carve something or something like that, and the other one you use to just whiff around in the air with to channel energy.
Yep, but yes, if you want to sign a contract in blood, or use blood for whatever ritual, you might poke some. You don't stab them, but you prick them, and it's annoying. Yeah,
and you make certain it's nice and disinfected when you actually use it for blood.
Well, yeah, it's clean. That's one thing about her. She's very fastidious and very sort of,
Well, yeah, you don't want to fucking get an infection just because you fucking conducted a ritual. God.
No. Roll your sleeves up more. No, roll your sleeves up more.
and now we're gonna fucking rub the alcohol on you, and now I'm gonna stab you.
Yeah, she was actually very clinical and precise. She's very thoughtful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Look for 2 knives.
What
you're looking at here is a basic witchcraft setup. Now, the difference is you don't see the bells. You don't see the Satanic Bible. And you'll see a couple extra things here. For instance, most witches are very adept at using the tarot. Witches are very...
Tarot.
Yes.
Fuck. And so far, all 3 of these are just generic fucking altar setups.
I wanted to say one thing about the dagger thing really quick. She did tell me a story about a friend who tried to do it and didn't bother cleaning the dagger, and that infection swelled up real good.
Mm-hmm.
But, all of these are very generic. And by the way, the satanic, in which we probably identify closer with the quote-unquote witchcraft than the satanic.
Mm-hmm.
Very big on an art called scrying, or fortune-telling. Another interesting addition is that, notice, the candle holders are wooden. Witches perceive themselves to be nature centered religious belief systems, so that they use as many natural elements as possible. The other thing is, instead of having a ceremonial dagger like we have here that would be used in Satanism, they would just use a very simple one dagger. That's called an athame.
A thame.
Now, the athame is used when they charge the wine, which would be in the chalice. The athame would be used when they charge the wine, which would be in the chalice. The salt, which would be in the salt bowl, and the water, which would be in the water bowl, as well as the incense. Another interesting addition we have here is Kyrnos. This is one of the gods of the witches. And the center for any witchcraft altar...
Oh, God.
They're
I
getting
hate it
so
whenever
much
they
more.
try to make it sound like it's authoritarian, because, you know, witchcraft fucking delves into so many different religions, and I think he's trying to call up Wicca, which is its own thing, and there's a god and a goddess, and they
Yes.
are pretty much the culmination of all gods and all goddesses.
Yes.
So, like, it could literally be anything, including Christian symbols, which I have seen Wiccan rituals include fucking passages from the Bible and shit. So, you know.
And there's also very much different type of satanic things as well, which...
You know,
like I
you
said,
have Jesus, God, and, you know, the Virgin Mary goddess. You know, I've seen that played. I've seen all kinds of shit, not just your typical, you know, Hera and fucking Zeus and shit.
Well, yeah, but...
And I know I'm
then
mentioning two different fucking things. So
he's doing the same thing with Satan. He's doing, you know, this is what they believe. No. That's what one faction, or I think several different factions, because I think you got a lot wrong, believe. What I believe is, you know, it's a lot different.
Yeah.
piece will have either Kyrnos, which is the god of the witches, or Diana. Another thing that witches will often have on their altar is a mortar and pestle, because they work a lot with pharmakeia, or various different incenses. Now, this is an incense we have here.
Along with herbs, spices, different things.
Things like that. I laughed when I heard about the god of the witches, because you know who would love to be god of the witches. I sent her that, and she's like, "Thank you."
Here, that would be used in ritual practice. Notice they're very bright in color. There are many different kinds. These are the kind of things that you might find left over at a crime scene. You might find little piles of colored, it looks like chalk, but it's not chalk. It's actually incense. And if you were to take it and smell it...
What crime scene do you prepare this much for in the middle of a park?
What crime scene?
I mean, I could see a crime scene in your basement having this much prep work because it's a permanent thing. But if you're conducting a ritual in a park, you travel light, not this heavy. Like, this is like something you have in an altar in your corner of the home, you know, that you use for this thing, you know.
Because my friend has a permanent thing in her home. It's in a room that, you know, but yeah, if you're going to go in the park, you're going to travel light.
Very light.
Unless you have a huge-ass truck.
Or a huge-ass group of people.
Or a huge-ass group of people.
And everyone brings something.
Bring
your own occultism.
It's like a potluck, but it's a Satan luck.
It usually has a very fragrant smell. Another thing that you'll find is usually there's chalk. There's usually a piece of red chalk and a piece of white chalk. This is used to draw a circle around the ritual area, and it's called a boundary between the worlds.
Well, yeah, the chalk's legit. That's about the only thing he's gotten right so far.
Really quick, the Satan luck joke, that just reminds me of a time where we were doing something in the park, and we brought all their stuff, and everyone was supposed to bring something, and we got all the, you know, satanic stuff, but someone was pissed because someone forgot to bring brownies. So you didn't. So the Satanists were mad because someone didn't bring brownies when they said they would.
You said brownies. You're going to heaven. No. Dun, 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 dun,
But
dun.
yes, the chalk thing is legit. I'm sorry, I just remembered that.
Yeah.
And then what they will do is make various different magical symbols in those circles, believing that these symbols will seal off an area. Now, witches are known for their artwork, their drawing of symbols.
Artwork, if you can call it that.
Oh, come on. Some witches are great at...
Some are. Others are like, yeah. God, you should have seen me whenever I tried dabbling with Wicca and shit. God. You think, no, I can't draw.
Jim is a
Their
witch.
use of colored powders, and of course the use of natural products like wooden candle holders, even wooden knives. And so this would be more indicative of witchcraft.
Nice.
As you have seen,
How about
Satan
a stone knife?
Satanists also like wooden candles. Wooden candle holders. I think I once asked, "Is this some sort of deep ritual thing?" And she goes, "Nah, it just looks cool."
Yeah.
But yes, a stone knife would work better than a wood one.
Yeah.
Like an
the
arrowhead.
difference between the items you might find on an altar from the various different occult styles is subtle. When you pay attention, you'll see that there is indeed a distinct difference. These differences will give you the understanding of the type of group you're dealing with. And when you know the type of group you're dealing with, you'll also learn to understand how they think, where they'll congregate, and where they'll be.
Definitely not watching this video. You know jack shit, because that was just like an amalgamation of like whatever generic, but he tried to make it sound authoritarian. I'm an authority of this. I'm authoritative. You know, I know what I'm talking about, dude. That's like, oh God, I've seen it used for each of those used for so many different things.
Only you can prevent satanic ritual crimes. It's Smokey the Bear. Smokey the Bear is a Satanist.
Smokey the Bear is a Satanist?
Yes, only you can prevent Satanist crimes.
Cult symbols.
There are many different satanic symbols. Here are a few of the more common ones. The inverted cross. This is used to defame the Christian religions. In a righted position, Christ's head would be looking up towards heaven. In this position, it would point downward towards Satan and hell. By defaming a Christian symbol, the thought is that power
was
is
crucified
taken away.
upside down because he didn't want to be the same as...
The number's 666.
There was a saint, one of the early Christian saints, I think he was even one of the apostles. He was crucified upside down because he felt like he didn't deserve to be on the same field as Jesus. So, you know, that's why he was crucified upside down. As a show of humility, and that upside down cross also means him, and I forget which one it is.
That would suck even more than being crucified inside, regular side.
Yeah, it would.
Because all the blood's rushing to you.
According to the Bible, these numbers, 666, are the mark of the beast.
Yeah, 666, the number of the beast.
Hell and fire was born to be released.
Yep, gotta love Iron Maiden.
The pentagram. This inverted star points downward towards hell and Satan. It is a popular symbol, but has no meaning other than a satanic one, and there may be many different versions. The voodoo vivi.
Okay, I love this. Here they have it drawn correctly, but the graffiti has it wrong. It has half of it drawn wrong, half of it drawn right, like it was just thrown together. And it's like, no, oh my God, now we gotta shoot it like this and look like idiots. Okay.
As we saw in the park, it represents the type of ritual that occurs. The anarchy, which is the symbol of rebellion.
Fuck the government. Fuck the government. Yay,
Hail
libertarians. Libertarians unite. That's Satan. Libertarianism is Satanism. You know?
Anarchism is Satanism.
Yay.
And the swastika. In past history, this symbol has been used by witches and warlocks as a magic emblem. A glossary of selected terms. The altar. A table used for satanic rituals, normally a table of flat rock, but can also be a nude physical female being.
Ooh. Yeah, that's whenever you start getting the kinky rituals going.
Yeah, we've done that before.
Yeah, that's fun.
The Antichrist. The Bible's book of Revelations describes him as the son of Satan, who will return and be present to receive his powers and challenge Jesus Christ during his second coming.
It's also an excellent Slayer song. Slayer!
Satan!
Your God left me behind and set my soul to be free.
Also a good Canadian band.
Okay.
The Baphomet. Described as a deity in the form of a goat-headed god with the wings of angels, the breasts of a female, and carrying a torch between his horns.
My cock.
Stop pronouncing Baphomet wrong, god damn it.
Black magic. Magic that is used for destruction and hate.
Hate.
There's no such thing as black or white magic. It's all just magic. It's all just how you depend. Black magic is also a pretty good Slayer song.
Mm-hmm.
Black Mass. The most diabolical ritual that can be performed by a Satanist. It entails a blasphemous communion with Satan, desecration of artifacts of Christianity, a mockery of the Holy Bible, and all things that Christians religiously cherish. The ceremonies involve rape and sexual assault, sodomy, animal and human sacrifices, and often the slaughter of unbaptized infants.
What the fuck? That just sounds like a crackhead trying to be a Satanist. But they're actually just high on crack.
It's so fucking stupid. And the best part about this is, this isn't some sort of like conspiracy theory like Pat Robertson. This is like the pillars of the community police actually believe that this is taking place.
Yes, this is. Keep in mind, this is actual police training video. Our federal tax dollars went to fund this, so the cops could be trained with this.
Look, this isn't Bob Larson. You remember Bob Larson, right, Jim? Ranting and raving about this, the satanic damn people. This isn't like Pat Robertson or one of the pastors, talking about, how they sacrifice people at deicide shows. This is like actual official government-sponsored. They actually believe that this is happening in play. They actually believe that there was sacrificial activity.
Our tax dollars paid for cops to be trained with this.
Blood, the life force. Satanists believe that the drinking of another person's blood or that of an animal increases their power and provides life force directly to Satan.
I did it once, but that was just to be weird and evil.
Me and Jeff, carving each other. Yeah, we were just really, really drunk. There was no ritualism behind it. We were just too drunk, and there was a knife around, and we were really fucked up and didn't know what the hell we were doing.
You cut, but did you actually drink blood?
Not really. We did a Blood Brothers thing kind of thing, but that was about it. Yeah.
I did it once because I was incredibly drunk, and I think my speech was like, "You want to see fucking vampire?" It's totally, but yeah, I didn't. It wasn't supposed to be so. It wasn't some ritual. I just did it to be a badass.
There was some kid I went into the partial program with that was trying to talk me into being a Satanist. He's like, and then you got to drink from the chalice of ejaculation.
Oh.
I don't know who seeds that, or like menstruation, or fucking female. I don't know, man. I don't know what that is, but that doesn't sound like healthy.
This was actually a lot lamer than I'm making it out to be. She accidentally cut her finger, and I just kind of licked it, like, hey, look, I drink him.
And it's not like, we were like, stabbing each other. It was just superficial cuts. We didn't cut deep whenever me and Jeff were doing it.
And
like I said, we were just way too drunk. There was no big meat. Aside from the blood brother thing, there was like no like deep meaning to it. It was just we were fucked up and drunk.
It wasn't in some chalice. It was just like she just like, oh, I cut my finger. It was like ah. Just she. By the way, we still talk, and she just goes, "You're kind of fucked up, kid."
Yeah.
The Circle. The Circle is the Satanists' protection from the forces they conjure up during their summoning and incantations.
What?
That's a Church of Satan thing. Most Satanists don't actually. That's more of a pagan thing as well.
Yeah.
Most Satanists don't actually dance around in a special happy circle. The circle jerk. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, lots of like fucking pagans do the casting a circle thing. Earth, air, fire, water.
And we make fun of pagans for dancing around in a special little happy circle.
Naked.
Okay.
Those fires get hot, by the way.
Yes, they do. I know. Because. Well, yeah. Because Satanists like fires too.
Coven. A group of non-traditional Satanists, not normally exceeding 13. Traditional Satanists do not have covens.
We have a coven.
And, it's not limited to 13.
It is not, but generally it's small. Covens are small.
Yeah.
Because, okay, before you get any ideas, by coven it's more just a group of friends who have similar beliefs. It's not, we don't meet.
That's pretty much any coven. It's just like, yeah, we kind of believe this, let's go with it.
Yeah. Hey,
and it gives you a chance to socialize and dance naked and.
Well, plus you get to call yourself a coven, and how fucking cool is that?
Yay!
Coven is also a really good rock band from the '60s.
Mm-hmm.
I love them.
Cult. A group of people who follow a leader who, through his charismatic ways, command allegiance, belief, and worship.
Pretty much like every fucking political commentator online.
Yes, I do have to say that we don't have any sort of. I mean, she's the priestess, but we're more than free to disagree with her if you. But yeah, it's not like a cult.
Infamous leaders include Hitler, Crowley, Jim Jones, and David Koresh.
And Jim Thompson.
My cult.
Devil. One such name of Satan, Lucifer, Leviathan, Prince of Darkness.
I like that fucking song by Ailstorm. Leviathan.
Hell, Lucifer.
Goat's Head. The symbolic identification of Satan in the world.
I always wanted to have goat head beer. That just sounds like something that would be like just the highest alcohol content and harshest hitting thing of all.
No,
goat
seriously.
Head beer.
Seriously, if I ever become famous enough to have like one of those microbrews, I have two choices. One is Jonestown Ale, and the other is Goat Head Beer.
Goat Head beer.
What about Jonestown Ale?
Grottos. Countless Satanists in one order or organization.
Wait, what? I'm not thinking something. What the hell did you say?
I said, what about Jonestown Ale? In Diet Purple.
I got Jonestown Kool-Aid.
Hand of Glory. The left hand of a person who has died. The hand is removed from the body, pickled, embalmed, and mummified. It is then used to ward off evil spirits.
So
that's so like not even Harry Potter made reference to the Hand of Glory.
Yeah, and fucking ward off evil spirits. Aren't you supposed to be summoning them?
They were talking about when Dead killed himself, and Euronymous had an idea. He tells Hellhammer, why don't we cut off his arm and put it on like a display case, so we can be badass. And Hellhammer's like, Euro, the fucking police are going to know if you cut his arm off, stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, getting pieces of his skull to make necklaces out of, yeah, you could, like, oh, I don't know where his skull, piece of his, but come on, his arm, really?
Mm-hmm.
The head. Satanists believe that the head is the most important part of the body. They often eat the brain to receive powers of the deceased person.
Zombie Satan.
Zombie Satan.
The heart. Satanists believe it to be the center of life. By eating the heart, they believe that assumption of the deceased's characteristics and powers will be thus transferred.
Kano wins. Flawless victory. Fatality.
I'm gonna start eating some heads, and I'm gonna be a zombie Satanist. Brave.
We shall consume your heart.
Host. Normally using blessed communion wafers, symbolic of the body of Christ, Satanists insert them into the vagina of the altar, or physically stomp, thus desecrating Christian beliefs.
So a dildo is the host. It's a bread dildo.
I've never heard of that. But I have to email the priestess just to ask her, just to see her reaction.
God, this just reminds me of that fucking feminist fad where they were making bread from yeast infections.
I've never actually. That was the first article I ever actually vomited after reading.
Yeah.
Because I know what a yeast infection is. Oh God. Oh.
Lucifer. When cast out of heaven, he was followed by 1/3 of all the angels.
Not true.
Pagans.
A biker group.
Those who practice
Yes.
witchcraft, the worship of nature, as well as multiple gods.
Also, people against goodness and niceness.
What?
People against goodness and niceness.
Okay, where's that from?
Dragnet, the movie.
Oh, okay. I've never seen Dragnet.
Mm-hmm.
Satan, an angel created by God, cast out of heaven, and now the object of worship by Satanists throughout the world.
Oh, that's one funny thing is we don't actually believe in the heaven or hell thing. He was created by the anti-cosmic gods to wage war on Marduk,
Which is
God.
the Christian God, yeah, according to your thing. Yeah, you've told me some things I remember, some I was like, I don't care.
Yes, well that's...
Succubus. Ooh, yeah, I want that. And then you die.
A female demonic force that copulates with human males. Incubus, a male demonic force that copulates with human females.
Damn. I don't want that. The chicks can have that, though.
But I'll take the succubus, even if she will kill me, it's like, whatever.
Yeah, and at least you get to have that huge high that you've never had before.
It's sort of the Futurama thing, death by snoo snoo. Oh boy! Oh no!
The mind is willing, but the body is weak.
And witchcraft, the practice of the old religion which focuses on the goddess in her many forms.
Witchcraft destroys minds and brings souls.
Child ritual and sexual abuse. Oh, God. We're going into this part. Child sex. Pedophiles need to be burned alive.
Perhaps one of the most despicable crimes in general, and in particular among Satanists, is that involving a child.
Yeah. Which,
Satanists
again,
really hate this worse than Christians do. I mean, hell, fucking Hollywood, the king of pedophilia. Fucking, I've heard stories about Lucille Ball getting eaten out while she was smoking cigarettes by, like, some fucking, 11, 12-year-old girl.
Redheads.
Mm-hmm.
And another one, who was that guy, Peter Sellers, getting gone down on by boys?
Yeah, this is fucking Hollywood we're talking about, not Satan. Let's continue.
In every state in the nation, there are reports and investigations of satanic crime and satanic ritual abuse.
And keep in mind, this was that widespread that, yeah, everyone thought, you know, all crimes were somehow, you know, satanic, and like, you know, we went after all the Satanists, and they were playing video games. That makes them a Satanist. They were playing Dungeons and Dragons. That makes them a Satanist.
They were listening to King Diamond, and Geraldo's primetime show did not help.
Yeah.
More than 2 million American children each year are reported missing, many of them too young to be runaways. In addition, more than 5,000 unidentifiable bodies of children are found annually in the United States.
Now, keep in mind, yes, real crimes happened, okay? Then they use this as a fucking think about the children to go against whatever the hell the new moral panic is.
Yes.
So it's like, you know, the prelude. Think about the children. Remember these actual crimes that happened? It could happen to you. Now, just remember, everyone's a Nazi. And if you don't think so, then you're a Nazi and must be destroyed.
Must be destroyed.
Physical abuse was a part of keeping me silent. My fingers were burned on a stove. I was forced to watch pets killed and put in an oven, and I was told that if I talked, the same thing would happen to me.
And things like that make you question whether that was legit or not. Because, you know, this level of organization and shit, fuck. You know, because they're saying it's like this huge national thing that everyone's somehow interconnected.
Oh yeah, everyone interconnected. Well, what they would say is, well, of course, the little they're just using that as a front to hide. The other conspiracy I heard is that they don't use planes to fly at the kids' gym. They use like magic carpets or use supernatural flying powers. I wish I had supernatural flying powers.
I wish I did too.
They would dismember bodies and then hang me upside down over a vat. I think it was acid, I'm not sure, but there were body parts. And they told me they would lower me into the acid if I ever talked about this.
It sounds like a fighting stage in Mortal Kombat. I mean, these are like very childish rendered, like fucking drawings that are reminiscent of a Mortal Kombat stage.
It sounds like a book. It sounds like some sort of, sounds like someone read a horror book.
Mm-hmm. And now, okay, because Mommy wants me to be famous, I'm going to say this.
In one memory I had, in order to get the blood, they used me as the person to get the blood from. I was basically the lamb, the child of God. And they would put pins and needles in between my fingers, and I would be bled so that they could have communion. Another way to keep me silent was to use a gun. Pornography, child prostitution brings in big money.
Yeah, and that's why we must kill all pedophiles. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I was not to talk about that either, and I was threatened to be killed if I talked, as well as burned. They use cigarettes and other forms of burning to keep me silent. And I had a pet bird that they killed in front of me. And
why does this all sound like shit I've heard, confirmed that, like, various political elites and, the elites within industry, the top end kind of fucking people that try to make certain that the little guy never gets ahead. The people currently screaming socialism's a good thing, are pretty much, this is the stuff I hear them doing all the time. But like, and it's been proven legit that they have, yet they're congealing it, saying, oh no, this is actually the work of like, whatever we're panicking against, in the 80s and 90s it was Satan, now it's Hitler. Fuck,
It just sounds like it sounds like someone read a horror book. Okay, here's what happened.
Yeah, I know. God damn.
Then I was put in a cage. And so as a young child, I made the association that if I were in a cage, then I must be like the bird. And if they can kill the bird, they can easily kill me too. Remembering comes out in poetry as well. And my pet bird was killed in front of me. And I was also forced to participate in the murder of babies.
Where do you get all these babies from anyway? Like, are you going up to, prom night dumpsters and just picking them up there?
Maybe they have, people, they just keep imprisoned and, okay, we need more babies.
Let's just go to, the local nursery wing at the hospital and just, grab the smorgasbord. No one's going to miss their newborn child after they gave birth to it.
And so I wrote a poem about not being able to talk about that. Birds and babies, go away. Mustn't tell, mustn't say. Mommy will get mad at me. Must pretend I do not see. Nothing happened, don't remember. Helter-skelter, now dismember. Witches chant and babies burn. Mustn't talk, it will be my turn.
That was a terrible poem.
Yeah, and fucking shit. It sounds like you're really, really trying here. You're really, really trying to make it sound like this is a kid's point of view. But there are so many things a kid wouldn't use in a sentence.
There's some books you have to read, like Michelle remembers. You have to read that.
Yeah, it sounds like words fed to a kid, not like, a kid saying this.
Or it sounds like someone, trying to come up with something, in order to, oh yes, this happened to me.
Uh-huh.
Symptoms characterizing satanic ritual abuse and sexual abuse in preschool-aged children. Low self-esteem, feeling of being bad. Child feels deserving of punishment. Child is fearful, clingy, regresses to baby behavior.
So you're a typical millennial?
Separation anxiety. The child is angry and aggressive. The child acts wild, uncontrolled, hyperactive.
Again, you're a typical millennial?
Well,
Fuck.
these are just typical. It's pretty, uncooperative.
Yeah, it's an offhanded joke, because I see adults who are millennials, in their 30s and shit, still acting like this.
Well, yeah,
But yeah, this is typical child behavior.
Being serious for a second, yeah, they're literally listing every child symptom, like every child,
childhood
behavior.
Trait, everything you do while you're a child. So everything's a symptom.
Well, you've never been angry as a kid, or you've never,
Kids being kids is a sign of satanic behavior. Just like kids being kids is a sign of being a fucking Nazi or a communist or whatever the fuck we're going to be raging against next.
Well, what else?
The child is accident-prone or deliberately hurts himself. The child is negativistic, resistant to authority.
I
was resistant to authority all the time. They wanted me to learn Braille, and I didn't want to learn Braille.
God, the fucking child being resistant to authority is ancient. Like that's just a known trait. There's passages about it in the fucking Bible. That's how old it is. There's passages of it from non-Christian sources predating even Judaism.
I know kids who were accident prone, and it wasn't that they were abusive; it was that they were clumsy as hell. I mean, nice kids, smart kids, but man, their feet were about 3 sizes too big for them.
Yeah, and you get that a lot whenever you're a fucking kid. So again, we're at kids being kids is the sign of all evil.
I remember I'm blind. I can't see. So, I rode my big wheel and hit the truck at like full speed. Park truck or whatever at full speed. I didn't care. I was having fun.
And child is negativistic.
That's my favorite word ever.
It's like, okay, so like they sat there, cried, and whined that they didn't get the new Nintendo system because it's too expensive and mommy can't afford it.
Or they
so
didn't
throw
get a new candy bar.
Uh-huh. When they're already hyperactive up against the wall and it's near bedtime. No, you're not getting a candy bar this close to bedtime. You need to be going to bed. But I don't want to go to bed.
Or you already ate 3 candy bars, you're not getting a 4th.
Yeah.
but that voice, by the way, that's actually Jim's natural voice. He has to put on a voice for the show.
Exactly.
The child mistrusts adults.
No, seriously. What child doesn't? Because it's like, I'm not getting my way. How dare you stand in my way, parent?
Well, that being said, a lot of kids do trust adults. I remember when I thought the policemen were good.
Oh, yeah, I remember being taught that, listen to the adults in the room, but not those adults.
Yes.
Oh, God, fuck.
The child is over-compliant with authority, over-pleasing with adults.
Again, your typical millennial, as an adult.
Yeah. Well, yeah, look how they were as kids. I knew the biggest brown nosers in the world.
Mm-hmm.
The child has rapid mood changes. The child is withdrawn, does not play, or plays in a lethargic or unfocused way.
I didn't want to play.
That's usually the kids forced to socialize with people they don't like.
I didn't want to play. I wanted to talk about racing. I wanted to talk about Jimmy Vassar and Alex Zanardi. And nobody knew who Jimmy Vassar and Alex Zanardi were. And they oh, no, do you want to play Batman? I don't know who the hell Batman. Fuck Batman.
It's like when I was a kid and everyone's listening to Michael Jackson and I was fucking disgusted with it. He was much better in the Jackson 5. His solo project sucked. That was my mentality as a kid. But everyone wants to talk about how Michael Jackson's awesome, and I didn't like it.
Or so, Power Rangers.
God. We could talk about He-Man, but not everyone was into He-Man. So,
Well, I wasn't into any superhero thing as a kid. So they, do you want to play Power Rangers? I don't know what the hell's a Power Ranger. Let's play Dale Earnhardt. Who?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, let's play Maxwell Smart. Who the fuck's Maxwell Smart? Get Smart. You never saw Get Smart? It's an old TV show. No. Let's play. I even forget half the shit that was popular when I was a kid because I didn't pay attention.
But
I had a huge crush on Barbara Feldon whenever she did 99.
But so yeah, that's usually when you're forced to play. I mean, teachers wouldn't even talk to me because all I would talk about is racing. How much has changed?
It's like fucking all these kids drooling over fucking Paula Abdul or fucking Madonna whenever I was younger. I was like after Barbara Feldon whenever she was doing 99. I was like, yeah, and she was really good even in her old age. It looked real hot.
And then when I was a teenager, everyone was drooling over like Britney Spears, and I was drooling over Slimenstra.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like it could just be that the kid's not into whatever the hell's popular.
Yeah, I like playing with cars, but I didn't want to play with anyone else because no one else knew how to race properly. Yeah, I was that kid, I know.
Yeah. Boop!
The child exhibits a short attention span. The child does not learn.
Typical
Most
child
kids.
behavior.
Yeah. Most kids have short attention spans. Jesus. It's getting worse, too.
God. Oh, yeah, everything's got to be a 5-second mem or else.
The child's speech is regressed and babyish. He has delayed speech or speech disorder. The child's speech production decreases significantly.
I'm 3.
Have you heard the typical adult millennial?
There are somatic complaints, stomach aches, nausea and vomiting, nightmares, and sleep disorders. The child
I
is
had
fearful of
nightmare
being
once.
touched, fears having genital area washed.
Okay, after a certain age, why are you still washing your kid's nutsack or vag?
Well,
I mean, after a certain age, they should be doing it on their own. You know, you only really need to do that whenever they don't understand what washing is.
well, yeah, these preschoolers. So that kind of makes sense. But as far as like the kid, I had nightmares all the time when I was a kid. Usually not being watching a race. Oh God, I'm happy.
You see, I was perfectly fine watching, Nightmare on Elm Street, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I went to bed and that was happy time for me.
Yes.
But then I saw the Care Bears movie and I had nightmares about these bears, this magical conformity. I didn't know the word conformity, but the concept of it was a magical conformity ray that forced you to be happy and get well with others, even if you like your parents were just murdered by this guy, but now you're happy and you're being friendly with him.
Yes.
Your parents were just murdered by this guy, and now you're forced to get along and be happy with them. And you can't be sad that your parents died,
God, I want to animate that. I want to animate and voice act that.
That's why I had nightmares about the Care Bears, because they had the magical beam to make you happy and get along with people, no matter what. God.
And as far as kids being touched, I didn't like being hugged until I was about 15.
God, I was sexually molested, and that guy was not a Satanist. He was an uber Christian. So,
God told you.
God told him to make me suck his cock.
The child touches his genitals or masturbates successively.
So, puberty?
Well, if you're 4 and you're masturbating, that's...
Yeah, that's usually a sign that mommy and daddy fucking used you as a preschool prostitute. God. But, puberty, that's normal puberty behavior.
Yeah.
Child touches or tries to insert fingers into his rectum.
That's usually whenever you're experimenting.
The child pulls down his pants, pulls up her dress, or takes off clothes inappropriately.
That's kind of typical child behavior, though,
yeah.
Because, they don't understand that we're supposed to be, covered. And, sometimes it's curiosity about the body. Other times it's just the fact they want to feel the breeze against their bare skin.
Yeah,
it's perfectly innocent to do that. But, they don't understand the whole societal taboo that you should probably be dressed,
Yeah.
The child touches others sexually or asks for sex.
That's a sign of sexual abuse.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was in a loony bin, my first girlfriend was a fucking nymphomaniac. And she became a nymphomaniac at an early age because her mother pretty much sold her out so that she could get heroin. So, yay.
The child is sexually provocative or seductive.
You see, that could either be puberty or, actual sex abuse.
How the fuck are you a 4-year-old in here? Because he's at preschool, so I'm trying to just be... How the fuck...
A 4-year-old? Yeah, that's a completely different ball game.
Yeah, because they said it was preschool, so I'm trying to think of it as like a preschool thing. Not just...
Yeah, this is huge signs that, mommy's selling you for crack.
Yes.
He or she complains of vaginal, anal pain, burning when washed or when urinating or defecating.
This is the only part of the video that made me uncomfortable.
Semen or bloodstains are found on the child's underwear. Detailed and age-inappropriate understanding of sexual behavior.
At first it was funny with the whole, child acts out, but then when they got so serious, this is the only part of the video that actually kind of made me uncomfortable. Let's just keep going.
Well, having been sexually molested, I can fucking see these problems because I've, even the ones I haven't had because of me growing up in a mental institution, I know people who went through shit like this, and it's this is pretty much, being used and abused and your parents selling you out or someone just grabbing and abducting you.
Yeah, what they're saying here is definitely true, but it's just that they're trying to link it with Satanism.
But they're trying to link it with Satanism when no, this is just, perverts being fucking perverts who need to be burned alive.
Totally.
Hints about sexual activity. The child complains that an adult or older child is bothering them. A reference to blood or white stuff in genital area.
Okay. Complaints that an adult or older child is bothering them. Could that be the person who is molesting them?
Well, yes, that's...
But no, it's got to be the Satanist down the block, not the person bothering them. Because the person bothering them is a good Christian boy. Or good Christian girl.
Yes, and they would never do that.
Mm-hmm. It's that guy listening to the wacky music that, doesn't bother anyone. But, he's listening to that wacky music, so he's the Satanist. He's got to be condemned for, what that other person who obviously did it.
Maybe his house looks a little strange, because, some of us like weird shit.
Mm-hmm.
A statement that someone had removed the child's clothing. A statement that an older child or adult exposed themselves to the child. A child's statement that he or she touched an older child's or adult's bottom, vagina, rectum, mouth, etc.
Another thing is, trying to grill your kids to get this information might make them say that they did it even when they didn't, because the child's just thinking, Mommy wants to hear this, so I'll tell him it happened.
Yep.
A statement that an older child or adult touched or penetrated the child's bottom, vagina, rectum, mouth, etc. A statement that the child witnessed sex acts.
Okay, that last one, I stole my dad's porn.
I saw Mommy fucking Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a kid accidentally bumps into the room while Mom and Dad are doing the grind. And that's satanic activity now.
They're doing the happy dance.
On medical examination, relaxed sphincter control, anal or rectal lacerations or scarring. The child relaxes rather than tenses rectum when touched.
That could be multiple reasons, but yeah, that can also be it.
Yeah,
that's kind of murky water there.
Yeah, okay, let's move on here.
On medical examination, enlargement of vaginal opening, vaginal laceration or scarring in girls, sore penis in boys, blood or trauma in the genital area. On medical exam, venereal disease.
Now that's fucking...
Alright, that part's over. Youth involvement.
Thank God. That was the only part that actually, kind of disturbed me.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, all of the signs of self-involvement, rebellion against authority, self-righteousness, disrespect towards parents, they're common in the growing up years. They're also signs of involvement in satanic cults. Perhaps one of the major signs of cult involvement is when the group moves into obsession. They get stuck on one idea, one type of clothing. They center focus on this idea and they do not deviate. They focus on destruction and on doom.
Destruction and Doom? No, Jim, Destruction and Doom. I love those bands. Destruction, Bestial Devastation, or Bestial Invasion, and Doom has Police Bastard. Yeah, great bands.
They have many highs and many lows in their self-esteem.
Just like normal people.
Just growing up.
Yeah.
They have drastic changes in behavior like eating habits, cleanliness, punctuality, and attitude towards family and friends.
So, being a kid, growing up. Okay, we got it.
Most kids get less punctual. I got more punctual.
And you got, kids' taste change. They go from Barney and Friends to liking, Michael Jackson, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I went from,
I loved classical music, still do, but, and Then I got into metal, you know.
Well, I went from Korn and the Black Album to, Archgoat.
I used to listen to a lot more oldies when I was a kid, too. You know, that's why I had the opinion that Michael Jackson was better in the Jackson 5 than his solo project. Because I liked it better.
And by the way, don't be late, kids. If you're doing a project with me, I will yell at you.
Most of the people we deal with, the young adults that we deal with, have other problems that are synonymous with even sometimes gang activity. They're looking for things that they may not have at home. They're looking for self-esteem. They're looking for something that they can belong to. And a lot of times these kids start out innocently enough trying to get into something that they feel that they're wanted, and people will form them and make their opinions to the point where they're really involved in satanic activity.
So pretty much because the normal people, the cool kids, wedge people out that aren't cool, that turns them into Satanists, metalheads, video gamers,
Yep.
D&D players, because, these are the people that will accept them, and it's a cool thing to do. And now the cool kids are like, wait, I can't be cool just by being cool. I have to belong to one of these other groups to be cool. They're starting to invade and make it like a pussy fest.
Well, and I never really got into Satan or really anything to be accepted, but it did feel good that talking to like-minded people. It's still does.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's normal. Talking to like-minded people, yeah, that's usually a good thing, and everyone seeks that,
But again, the cool people weren't into what I was into, so I was just like,
fuck it, I'll just hang out with these people that aren't cool then, and thus make them cool.
They drive hearses and...
Exactly.
Anytime you do have a situation where you find a ritual site or you find graffiti that shows some kind of satanic situation, then you need to look at it and investigate it. And I think the big thing is if you keep your mind open. Parents need to keep an open mind. A lot of times parents and people in general will close their eyes to things that they don't want to hear. If you keep an open mind and try to know your kids and learn what your kids are all about, I think that'll be a big step into understanding what's going on, and then being able to identify any problems that may arise or situations that you might see that you might need to look for help.
I agree that parents should keep an open mind. It's just then he went out completely the other way. I think that parents should keep an open mind, and
the kids are always going to get into new goofy things you don't understand. That's
rather than
my generation had all the metal and shit, and rap and all that, and that scared the adults. And there were so many moral panics against all this shit, and they tried to congeal it all into one huge umbrella. Just like before, the whole hippie thing, terrified adults and shit. And oh my God, you're wearing the flowers and the peace symbol, fuck you, kid. And that was a moral panic back before that. And God, it's just throughout history. The kids are going to get into things you don't understand. Have a bit of an open mind about it. Sometimes it's a phase. Other times they're sticking it with life. You just want to try to actually weed out the bad behavior. Like, are they going out and fucking having unprotected sex in mass quantities? At least tell them what a fucking condom is, so that way they don't go getting knocked up or knocking up people left and right,
Well, he was saying keep an open mind, but of course he meant keep an open mind as long as it's what I believe. Keep an open mind. If you see your kid doing something that maybe you don't understand or maybe you don't like, ask them about it. So okay, you went out and bought this record that I don't, or this movie or whatever that I don't like, and maybe I don't even think is appropriate for you. Why do you like it? What is it about it that you like about it? Here's what I don't like, but why do you, if my dad were to, okay, why do you like metal? Because he didn't think metal was appropriate or whatever. Why do you like metal? I probably could have explained to it in a way that maybe he would understand, but knows, I don't like, it's not appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
But rather than thinking your kid's demon possessed, talk to them.
Yeah.
And well, they're teenagers. Yeah, you might get a little teenage attitude, but trust me, as someone who once was a teenager and remembers what it's like, if someone actually shows that they're mildly interested, you'll open up to them.
I mean, that's one thing that, out of the many mistakes my parents made, that's one thing they actually did right. They still let me get my medal and shit, but, and they didn't like it, but they asked me, things about it. It's like, yeah, well, you can hear the harmonics, it's classical, some of it's classically trained, and bloody, bloody, blah, and, you yourself have wanted to, go out and strangle that guy that fucking cut you off on the road, so, why not have a song about it?
Well, I remember a teacher asking me, because I was listening to Cannibal Corpse, out loud or whatever. And he goes, well, why do you like that sort of? It's just noise. And I was like, no. See, I explained to him that it's complex. And he's like, but the lyrics. I was like, to me, it's just a horror film. It's because I can't really see horror, right? Like horror movies. I like it, but a lot of times I just hear various noises. But to hear the lyrics and sort of get those images, that's what I love about Cannibal Corpse. It was gore, it was splatter, it was totally disconnected from reality to me.
Yeah.
So he was like, okay, he didn't pretend to like it but he's like, okay, I can kind of understand why people like it. But that was when I was 16, the bratty 16-year-old. He won't talk to anyone or whatever. But someone took an interest, so I talked to them.
Yeah, that's just kind of how it works.
Yes.
Not keep a closed mind. Believe me, I've been in this business for 10 years, and you're always amazed at what kids will do and the different fads that come up. And sometimes it may be totally innocent. It may not be occult activity. It may not be satanic activity. But hopefully, if you have the open mind, you'll be able to notice that. When we get involved in some of these training groups, we try to talk to PTAs and school administrators and things like that, not only just in occult activity.
Now, remember, this is a police training video, and he's talking about, we went out to schools and did this is what your federally funded tax dollars went into.
I wish I could have seen those presentations. Sadly, I was a little too young, but...
God, I didn't see them because that was for the adults to notice the risky behavior.
They also did some things for kids as well. They also did, if you think your classmates are strange, call 1-800 blah blah blah, and they even offered rewards because this is shortly after Columbine. So if you think you think your classmates are acting strange, call this number. Report them.
You could get a $5,000 if you report your friends for being weird.
So, well, it turns out it wasn't necessarily friends. It was the cornerback. It was the QB reporting the punk rockers. It was the cool kids reporting the metalheads.
Yeah.
There's an interview with one of the Columbine kids, one of the football players saying, you have to tease kids who are into witchcraft.
Mm-hmm. You got tease and shit all over them. Yeah.
I mean, Columbine was a terrible school, by the way. Rich kid school.
Yeah, of course it would be a rich kid's school.
But just keeping an open mind on what teenagers are all about nowadays. And they may be involved in this stuff. They may be what we call dabbling in some kind of occult activity. It may be just a rebellion on some form of Christian upbringing. Something to get your attention.
As you observe kids that may be involved in satanic cult activities, be patient, be watchful. It's best to understand them because provoking them will only drive them deeper into the cult and that behavior.
Well, yeah, if you completely bash someone, they're going to go the other way.
I was never really brought up in a Christian. I mean, I went to church for a couple of years, did First Communion, but I don't know. There's just something about it that really attracted me to the left-hand path, and now I'm here.
I mean, I'm just even sitting here thinking, today's context, by calling everyone a Nazi, you realize you're going to create more Nazis. not like make them diminish.
Well, yes, and by shutting down all debate instead of debating or just hell laughing at them, you're going to create people who, well, they're silencing us. I wonder what they're silencing. I wonder why they're so afraid of us.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going
and
to
you're going to go digger, and you're going to make more Nazis that way, which you should not be doing.
But no one takes that seriously. No, you're lying. You're simping for fascism.
Yay, simping for fascism.
That's what I'm told on the same Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Teach the parents and the school officials and the youth workers to note these behavior changes and to take time to find out what's going on in their lives. Teach them to ask the meaningful questions.
What was that?
But don't ask the kid, snoop around and draw something. Don't ask the kid what's happening. No. Don't ever ask the kid for what's,
Yeah, find the porn stash in their underwear drawer, and that makes them a Satanist.
Yeah.
Then
or what?
Or the one joint.
Yeah, the one half-smoked joint. You have a drug problem.
Symbols are about that they might write on their notebooks and they might wear on their clothing. Teach these youth workers and parents to...
Well, that's another thing. The zero tolerance policy, you don't even get that anymore. Because the kids have learned to keep it under wraps. The ones that actually have the problems. Instead of, drawing up shit and, things can be noted and talked out. And they're hiding it now because they know that they'll get busted if it's shown. Because zero tolerance.
Occasionally
so that will make that more problems than, actually integration or anything like that.
Yes, and occasionally you'll get one kid who basically says, I'm going to flout the system by being as blatant as possible. Those kids have my respect because it's like, I know I'm going to get busted, but fuck it.
Yeah.
Talk to their kids about the lyrics of the songs that they listen to over and over again. They have a right to know what's going on in the young people's lives, and open communication allows that to happen. Don't hesitate to encourage these parents and youth workers to seek outside help. Call your local support services for youth. They can be a great help to you. Never stop this important investigation into lives for the value of our kids in America.
God, talking about, most parents don't understand the lyrics and don't understand, you're listening to a song about, Venom's in league with Satan. You must be Satanist.
And those youth outreach groups, do you realize that they were mostly dens for drug dealers and kids looking for drugs?
Oh, yeah. Or
that's how you met some of the people who were 21 to buy booze, because they were the adults sent to supervise. It's like, I know what your kids are doing. Here's your fucking booze.
Unfortunately, in California, it was way, way more tight ass. I knew kids in those groups, and it was because it wasn't just a youth outreach group. It was like a detention home.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah, it was. If you're a minute late, well, they didn't have youth outreach groups anymore. It was literally, if you're suspected of this, you go live in this home for 30 days. They didn't have those youth outreach groups anymore.
And keep in mind, this is suspected, not confirmed.
Yeah, this is suspected. And it was...
And suspected means it could just be a random statement that they overheard another kid say, but now you're involved. That kid doesn't know you. They only saw you running up and down the hall wearing the wrong T-shirt once.
I had groups it was like group therapy because she didn't have enough time. It was the school psychologist or whatever. And I was in a room with a couple of and literally they were 30 seconds late to line up, and they were AWOL. Mm-hmm. So, but they didn't have these youth outreach groups that you were talking about. It was literally, if you were suspected of it, they would send you to live in these basically legal, prisons. Basically, it was very scary.
God, I remember the youth out. Why the fuck did we stop that? Oh, right. We needed to fucking suckle on the dick of daddy government.
Yep. Well, exactly.
The government will solve all our problems instead of us coming together as a community. We got to destroy our local communities in favor of the government.
And if I may, most probation officers should probably allegedly be hung. Allegedly.
Satanists celebrate a host of rituals and ceremonies during the course of each year. As some are held more important than others, a host of crimes are committed before, during, and after the ceremonies.
The host of crimes committed before, during, and after the ceremonies, so year long.
Well, that's the thing. You're going to see, I'm just going to tell you, there are like 1,000 of these little holidays. I was like, if there's just, how does Satanists find time? Just watch.
On January 7th, the celebration of St. Winebald is held. It is a blood ritual and animal or human sacrifice, including surgical dismemberment, and they're completed with males between the ages of 15 and 33 years of age.
Okay.
Satanic revels are held on January 17th. A sexual type of ritual, anal, oral, and vaginal activities are found with female victims ranging from 7 to 17 years of age.
So renting hookers, got it.
Yeah.
January 17th is Hooker Day.
Candlemas, a high religious holiday, is held on February 2nd. At these sexual ceremonies, animal, oral, and vaginal rituals are completed with females from age 1 to 17.
Okay, so Groundhog Day is Child Molestation Day.
February 25th signals Beltane, a blood ceremony. Communions are held with blood filling the chalice.
No.
Animal dismemberment and sacrifices are common to this ceremony.
It's the growing of
The celebration of St. Iketat is held on March 1st. During the blood ceremony, human blood from devotees of any age and any sex is consumed for strength and as homage to demons.
That's 5 days and we're only in March.
Yeah.
Busy.
The spring equinox, March 20th, a celebration of orgies including anal, oral, vaginal, or bestiality sex between devotees of any age and any sex. Sacrifices are common.
Orgy Day. I wish I knew Orgy Day.
The sixth
April
one, the
21st
sixth day.
to the 26th is the time of preparation for the grand climax. Kidnappings of women, children, and animals are common. Thus, the victims are held until April 26th to May 1st. A demure ceremony for Corpus de Ball. Age group includes infants and females up to 25 years of age.
What the fuck? They're just grabbing out their ass.
April 30th, called May Eve or Walpurgis Night, signals a host of activities and historically is devoted to coven initiations.
And beer drinking.
Yes.
June 2nd brings about anti-Christian ceremonies using blessed wafers and blood mixtures for many blasphemous purposes.
Is that the same wafers you shove up your vag?
June 21st and 22nd signal the summer solstice, when orgies, anal, oral, and vaginal in nature, take place. Any age, any sex.
So many orgies, God!
Man, my dick is tired.
Demon revels are held on July 1st. Sex with demons, human and animals, primarily large dogs, take place with devotees of any age or any sex.
Dude, fuck! When do you stop fucking?
July 20th to the 27th signals the time for additional kidnappings and holdings of victims for the July 26th Grand Climax and August Eve festivities, which include sacrifices.
A lot of fucking killing.
And kidnapping. Fuck.
Satanic revels occur on August 3rd, with its sexual orgies with females from 7 to 17 years of age.
Hey, pedophile. So many orgies.
The coveted marriage to Satan takes place on September 7th, at which time human sacrifices of groomed devotees occur.
How do
The
you
age group is female, 1 to 17 years of age.
How do you maintain a job with all this?
I know.
September 20th is the time of the Midnight Host, a blood ceremony when dismemberment of females 1 to 21 years of age takes place. hands are planted as part of the ceremony.
Okay, I gotta stop right here with how many times we've been dismembering and kidnapping people and shit. How do we even have a population left? I mean, this is more kidnapping and murder than the fucking Holocaust you're talking about.
And it's every year, apparently.
And it happens every year, so we should have, like, a United States population of 3.
And, I mean, okay, some of these are actually real holidays, albeit, again, this doesn't happen. How do you hold down a job? How do you actually, because there's the 2nd of January, and then there's like the 7th, and there's like 17th, so you got 10 days to prepare. Then, I'm sorry, boss, I need time off. I got another religious holiday.
Yeah, it's like you work like 3 days out of the year. Because, like, some of these have been like
because you got to kidnap
week or 2 week long things that you got to fucking What the fuck?
All I can tell you, Jim, is with all these orgies and all these, dismemberments, boy, my dick is tired.
God, the orgies alone. I mean, let's take out the whole entire pedo angle. Just the fact that it's always an orgy, okay? This is more sex than your fucking cam girl has. Maybe
that's how we have so many populations. They just keep breeding.
Yeah, and they pull Reda Vorka and just eat their own babies as soon as they're born.
This is part of why I wanted to show you it, because this list, I was laughing so hard because, like, 1 or 2 or 3 of these things I could, but...
I mean, and some of these are just, like, typical, like, fucking nature worship, like the solstices and equinoxes, that's major, Then you got, like, Samhain, Death of the God, that's less than important than Yule, which is, like,
Candlemas.
Yeah, it's like, fuck. Why, God?
But it's not over.
I know, we're only in September.
September 22nd, or Michaelmas, entails anal, oral, and vaginal orgies that also include bestiality with any age or sex devotees.
God, so much sex!
How do you keep doing
it? October 29th to the 31st, Samhain, or Halloween celebration, is a high unholy day. Sex with demons is primary, as is infant sacrifice.
Stop it for a second.
What the? What?
Like, can you, like, dude? I've done the last 5 orgies. Can I just, like, can I take one off just to rest?
No, you have to keep orgy. Oh God! If you can't get it up, then we're gonna fuck you up the ass. No.
Maybe all that chalice of blood includes, like, Viagra.
Yeah, like, you have to fucking be, like, addicted to Viagra with all this orgy. God. So we finally said Samhain Halloween. Yay.
Yes, but you both pronounced it incorrectly. It's actually Samhain.
Samhain, okay. Whatever, don't care.
Yeah, I do. Keep going.
On November 1st to the 4th, satanic revels again occur. Anal, oral, and vaginal sexual activities take place.
Wait, we just had a week of orgies. Well, like it was end of November, and now we're beginning of end of October. Now beginning just been like 3 weeks of nothing but orgies.
At least the 7th. At least, okay, so the first one was the 7th of January and the 17th of January. You had 10 days to rest. You literally don't even get a rest day.
Yeah, you don't have a rest day. You just gotta keep fucking for like 3 weeks straight. What the fuck? You just don't stop.
I'm sorry. I had to have you pause that.
Everyone is now like dry and their skin of the genitals is falling off. It's just too much sex this time of year. I swear, if it says like anywhere close to within a week here, this is inhuman. Because we're talking about ritualistic. They want it to go on for hours and hours because it's a ritual.
So Jim, when would you die? February?
Probably. Just The orgies. God, this is more than... God. A teenager can't keep up with this. And they're fucking overloaded with those hormones. I know. Cough. It's horrible.
With females from 7 to 17 years of age.
And the focus on pedophilia, my God.
Yeah, I'm not touching that.
And December 22nd, or the winter solstice, entails
they get a
orgies
break.
with any age and any sex.
They finally get a break of a month and a half. Yeah. Oh my God. You realize that month your balls and clit are like fucking soaking in ice. Because you've just fucked the entire year away. Also, winter solstice is like, Christmas.
Yeah. People, by the way, if you're wondering, we're not touching the pedophilia thing. We're just pretend that doesn't happen, okay?
No, the pedophilia thing. They have to throw in the pedophilia thing so that way we can think of the children. Otherwise, it's just random sex orgies.
Yeah, because even like people who denounce Satan just say it's random orgies.
Mm-hmm.
The pedophilia thing was definitely thrown in.
Yeah, that's just thrown in to make it sound scarier. And like all this time, well, so like you finally get about a month and a half of actual work in, considering you can move. If you can even move after all those orgies all year round, before you get to the winter solstice and it just starts again in January.
Maybe, well, okay, so let's say you get pregnant on like the 7th, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't, you do orgies, then you get, you have the kid in like October, so you have like a month to rest or whatever, and then you're back at it.
Yeah. Can't stop fucking.
And on December 24th, Demon Revels is a demure ceremony and a signaling of the high grand climax.
So, Christmas Eve, the birth of Christ, is the high grand climax. So the birth of Jesus is Satan.
I had a grand climax on Christmas Eve.
Bum. Let's hear about the orgies.
Any age and any sex is included in these ceremonies.
Thank God. Then we get a couple of weeks to rest.
Oh my God, how do you even have time for homicide with all those orgies?
Richard Ramirez, known as the Night Stalker, was linked to Satanism. He had a pentagram on his left hand, and he would draw one on the walls of his victims' homes. At his arraignment, he yelled, "Hail Satan."
What was that?
What a loser, Richard Ramirez.
Yeah, pathetic. Satanic homicide. Henry Lee Lucas. Richard Berkowitz.
Richard Berkowitz, also known as the Son of Sam, that famous New York case. Henry Lee Lucas of Texas. Both of these men were linked to Satanism and ritualistic blood drinking.
I thought it was...
Yay. Ah, yes, another one. How do you...
Stanley Dean Baker of Massachusetts. At the time of his arrest, he had one of his victim's fingers in his pocket, and he was charged with dismemberment. He stabbed his victim 27 times, and he ate his heart.
Tasty.
By the way, it's David Berkowitz, you idiot.
Ricky Casso of New York. He required his victim to say, "I love you, Satan," as he stabbed him to death.
I love you, Satan.
God.
Carl Drew from Massachusetts. His satanic cult killed a 20-year-old woman, decapitated her, they kicked her head around, and then later he had sex with her body.
I'm playing head soccer.
Head sucker.
And in the history of the United States, only one case has been successfully prosecuted as a human sacrifice crime. That is the case of Clifford St. Joseph?
Okay, the way we broke the St. Joseph case was through information received through some sharp patrol officer work. A couple of our patrol units that operated in what we call our southern district responded to what was a drunken party. It appeared to be a drunken party. And one of the fellows kept saying, they're going to sacrifice him, they're going to sacrifice him. Well, what he was talking about was they had gotten a second victim and intended to sacrifice him. They had him captured for several days and had drugged him, and he had been drugged, and a lot of had been continual sexual activity, male on male sexual activity with him as he was chained nude in the bedroom and then sometime he'd be chained to the fireplace in the living room, and every guest would come, he would be offered to have sex with him. And even at some point, they had a German Shepherd have sex with him. And it was beyond what would be seen in a normal encounter of gay male anal sex. So we followed up on...
Wait. This is so far beyond the pale of normal gay sex.
Shepherd?
I mean, yeah, the German Shepherd alone, that's way beyond the pale of normal gay sex. But then, fucking chain him up and just keep fucking him. And keep fucking him up the ass for weeks on end. Yeah.
This is some prison stuff.
Yeah. Are you sure this wasn't picked up in prison?
Tripod.
That, and we were able to find that young man after we talked to the fellow who was babbling earlier about this sacrifice. So we talked to that young man, and he told a very bizarre story. The story was that this man had been captured. The first victim, John Doe 60, had been captured. He had been drugged, and he had been sacrificed to Satan in honor of St. Joseph. And that St. Joseph was the high priest, and that he talked of other sacrifices, but we found no evidence of any bodies, anyone who had been sacrificed in this area previously, at least the one that we've been able to recognize. So he then told us that how they had disposed of the bloody mattress, and that they had done the initial ceremony in a circle on the living room floor. And of course, we noticed that when we finally went to that address with a search warrant, we noticed there was all new carpeting, all new mattresses in the bedroom. So, and what the officers noticed is there were so many things that were so bizarre that this citizen couldn't make up a lie this big, couldn't get that drunk or get that loaded to make. So the things started to fall into place. Everything started to make sense. And I can tell you that our investigation of that case led us into the very highest echelons of our society, professional people, successful business people who were associates, and one of whom we know is a unindicted co-conspirator to this day, because the young man who had been sexually abused, who was to be the second victim, we got him psychiatric treatment and got him strong enough to be able to testify. And he testified to all the things, the ritual that had gone on before his day of reckoning, to where he was to be sacrificed himself. And it is a very precise procedure of what he eats, what he is given to drink, and that he's kept in a sedated mood condition for several days prior to the ritual.
I like how he's out there condemning the pillars of the community.
Yeah.
The uppity-ups that are not the scumbags like us. No, it's the fucking uppity-ups that are prim, pristine, my shit don't stink types. How dare you? I'm offended. Those types of people are the ones that are being indicted in this huge ritual.
One hell of a conspiracy. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to prosecute St. Joseph by using evidence, physical evidence, because he was clever enough not to give us a statement. At least the statement he gave us was innocuous. He was very clever in what he said and how he said it. But one of the things we were able to do is corroborate the two young men, and with physical evidence. One, for example, we rolled that new rug back and the new carpeting, pulled it back, did a luminol check on the premises, and there was blood everywhere. And when we did the luminol examination of the premises, we found the kind of blood that we expected to find. Because as I told you, the body was almost devoid of blood. And we knew that wherever this had taken place, there had to be a lot of blood. So in the cracks and crevices of the hardwood floor beneath the carpeting, even there were small blood spatterings on the walls, the lower part of the French doors, despite the fact of a thorough cleanup that had been ordered by St. Joseph after they disposed of the body. They deliberately picked and carefully picked the John Doe 60 and the young man who was to be the second victim. And we were told that this is the habit. Nobody's going to ever look for these people. They're the kinds of people, and there are lots of them around nowadays, where drifters, people don't have any real ties, and they were able to lure both the John Doe 60 and the other intended victim with the lure of drugs. Well, great many.
So just grab homeless people and promise them drugs, and you got yourself a sacrifice.
Well, that's how Jeffrey Dahmer, he promised, kids, young dudes, hey, come on, we'll drink, get some beer, and we'll, hang out, and he killed them.
Exactly.
Great deal of drugs, and they were very plentiful, and that was one of the lures that they were able to entice young men to these areas to look them over to see if they were suitable characters to be persons to be sacrificed.
What was the sentence for St. Joseph, and how is that all going?
His appeal has been, St. Joseph's sentence was he was convicted of first-degree murder, and his sentence was life without possibility of parole, and it is going fine. His case has been upheld all the way up the line. So it was a successful prosecution, good solid evidence, and it all helped to solve that case with some patrol officers being really sharp and following through on something that they saw that was unusual, and not discounting a person as being just a crazy, drunk, hyped up kid. That they took the time to say, hey, wait a minute, it's too many unusual things going on here. Let's if we don't know, let us call somebody who may know. And then by doing that, they gave us the lead that we needed to break that case. On ritualistic, satanic, cult kinds of crimes, you'll see a lot of unexplained behavior. Try not to rationalize it off as being just a bunch of kooks or just a bunch of druggies. Investigate, talk to people, identify people who are there. Ask those persons who appear to be really loaded, book them as drunk, book them as under the influence, call the detectives and ask. Look for unusual kinds of weapons, unusual kinds of cuts or wounds. And for example, a single wound, none of the wounds when you looked at the body of John Doe 60, just as a layperson, none of these wounds would kill him. Even the carving of the pentagram into his chest, he'd bleed, but this wouldn't kill him. And there was the fact that you have a dead body and there's no blood. There's some blood on the body, but there's no blood in and around the scene. Secondary scenes, because they've got to get rid of the body. They've got to get rid of it somehow. So we have to be very aware of anything unusual. Follow through on it. Call in help. Don't be embarrassed to say, hey, look, I don't quite know what's going on here. Call in the detectives, And they, in turn, for investigators, call in experts who know how to deal, who recognize some of these things. Well, one of the things you will see quite frequently, though, they do leave their mark. For example, the upside printed down pentagram on John Doe 60's chest. We've had several other cases where we're dealing with the ritualistic in the Golden Gate Park. This case was never solved, but this young woman was in the middle of a circle, and all around her were pentagrams painted on the trees with her blood and painted on rocks. They display the body in certain ways. If the body appears to have some ornamentation on it that doesn't fit, for example, maybe some beads or some kind of pin or pendant that doesn't fit the rest of their clothing. There was a case I can call several years ago where the body was found, and this would be a different ritualistic group, for example. The body was in a circle, the head was decapitated, there were feathers sticking in the exposed part of the neck, and all around the body was corn, kernels of corn, and we later learned that this was a part of a sanctifying of a cauldron by killing an individual.
The corn ritual.
Corn.
The corn ritual. I forgot about the holy corn ritual. I think someone's been watching Children of the Corn too much.
I am Cornholio. Let's wait for the TP ritual.
Individual by sacrificing an individual. Though, by the way, the head did turn up. We were told by experts that it would turn up. Now, this came out of a whole different part of the society, but it's still a different kind of ritual, where many times there's a big controversy in some parts of the country now as to whether or not to allow the religious use of animals. And I think the Santerias did win that case, that they can use animals in their religion. Well, you'll see things like this. Don't be alarmed, just document it well. Document it very well, know who's involved, and recognize it when you see it. And probably the grave robbing is what most patrol officers are going to run. They're going to run into grave robbing.
Grave robbing?
Yes.
Stealing ornaments from churches. You start getting a rash of stealing, because they have to have, sometimes they want to get, even though they're satanics, they have to get something that's blessed. So there'll be church robberies. So if you start getting a series of church robberies, or any church robbery where the motive is not totally monetary gain, it's some kind, relics are missing, like chalices and different religious ceremony items. Look for that. Other things I can think of now is that they also deal with certain animal horns and parts and stuff like that, certain statuaries that you'll find on a premises, and the bodies that appear to be part goat, part human, all in a man, part man in body, and you'll see lots of candles. They use lots of candles of different colors and stuff like that. But there are a number of experts around who study this phenomenon, and as I said, based on my experience and studying, particularly with the St. Joseph case and a couple other cases that have had some dabblers around, we capture that material, read it, learn about them. It's just like any other part of our society. It's here, and we as law enforcement officers will deal with it. We have to deal with it. And the best way to deal with any problem is to understand it.
So you have a legit crime, but now you're implicating innocent people because you have to look for the signs.
Yes, look for the signs.
Because, people just doing normal, innocuous things, that makes them evil. And that's why I couldn't get a job in my hometown for the longest time, even though I've never been a Satanist. Yay!
You're about as satanic as my blender.
In investigating homicides, there are some very obvious ritualistic markings that will appear on a body that is the result of satanic killings. But some of the markings are a little more subtle. And so what we're going to do is give you an illustration of this on our model and also retrace some of the markings that were in the St. Joseph's case.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You'll note on our model that there's oftentimes a cut that goes from behind the ear all the way down to the throat. You'll also notice that on the carotid, this right here would be cut where the blood would have been drained. And oftentimes there's wax laid on it to cover it up afterwards, after the body has deceased.
This is Jim's future.
They will also put wax over the eyelids after they're deceased, and so those would be some of the head markings that would indicate a ritualistic killing. Another area that's obvious in these kinds of ritualistic carvings would be the pentagram or the inverted pentagram on the right and the left side of the upper chest.
I wonder if the placement's just here to let him grope her.
Of the high priest.
What?
I wonder if some of this placement of some of these markings is just so that he can grope her and get away with it.
Probably.
Another area that you might find satanic ritual carving is in the stomach area. And as was true in the St. Joseph's case, the pentagram or the inverted pentagram was carved right here in his abdomen area. And you'll note again the points representing again the goat's head.
It's like a tattoo, only deadly.
Mm-hmm.
Another area we'll want to note is the foot area. And right here behind the ankle bone, there is oftentimes an incision, just as our markings would indicate. And beyond that, on the bottom of the foot, they will sometimes cut the flesh and peel it back. And so you'll also note that. Another thing that is oftentimes done in ritualistic homicides is a penis is placed inside the mouth of the deceased person. Now,
that reminds me of
you can't stop the orgy even after
that
death.
reminds me of the so there was a pot dealer. This is not me. This is in the 80s. There was a pot dealer who knew some bikers. So I don't know if he didn't pay the bikers, but he was strung up from a tree, and his penis was taken out and put in his hand, which is classic biker humor. That is classic biker humor right there.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, after all those months of orgies, you can't stop even during the sacrifice. You gotta just keep fucking until it falls off and I die.
Well, you probably want to stop, but you're satanic priest. Can I just take this sacrifice off, please?
No.
but I can't get it up anymore.
Viagra, bitch, Viagra.
I'm
as you look at the body of a person such as this, please note each and every one of these markings. You might just see one of the markings. It could be just the carotid, or it might be just the marks behind the ankle, or as obvious as the pentagram. But whatever it is, if you look just a little bit deeper, ask a few more questions, and note to the investigators more information, it could lead to the solution of other crimes that have been just passively sitting on the desk without any clues.
Now, the neck markings are pretty much just your standard slit the throat or just jab them in the middle of the fucking throat with a knife kind of things. So that's like typical homicide shit.
Yep.
But, and then all these other markings, okay, whatever, they're carving pentagrams everywhere.
Yeah, that's...
It's just some weirdo murdering people.
Yep.
Maybe you think your community is immune to these satanic crimes. Well, it's not. The next victim might show up tomorrow on the beat. It could be in your community, or it could be in a major city or a small rural area. Could be a member of your family. Could be someone you know.
Could be you.
I challenge you to investigate each crime just a little bit deeper. Let's stop this heinous crime that's going on in the name of the devil. Let's stop it before it takes another victim. Let's stop the Richard Ramirez's and the Clifford St. Josephs before they kill one more innocent person.
No.
So stop them before there's a crime to stop.
Arrest
people before they commit a crime. The pre-crime.
Yeah,
Fucking
the psychic prevention.
Hello, welcome to the Psychic Hotline. We're going to prevent some more crimes today.
So.
Oh my God, that's such a waste of tax dollars, though.
Yeah,
like, there was, 5 minutes of actual shit that, might be useful, but the rest of it was dear God, what the fuck?
Waste of tax dollars, but what about entertainment?
Entertainment was fucking hilarious, most of it.
It was a laugh riot.
If you cut out the fucking, child pedophile part of it, it's a fucking laugh riot. Because they get so much wrong.
They get so much wrong, they were confusing different things and just...
But I'm an expert, even though I can't get a single one of these religions right, and I'm going to combine 6 of them together. What?
I like the supposed ex-Satanist.
Wasn't he busted as never being a Satanist, but he keeps claiming to have been?
Well, I've never heard the name before, so maybe. I've never heard the name before, but come on, if he's saying this, clearly he's never been a Satan. If he gets so much wrong,
yeah, that's clear.
But there were a lot of people, John Todd, Mike Warnke, people like that. You were asking me for one of their Christian comedian things, and I found it. Jim, are you ready for the biggest disappointment ever?
What?
It's preschool level comedy, because of course Christian comedians can't be offensive. So it's literally like, I had some food and it wasn't very good.
Oh God.
But then at the end he would talk about, how he'd saved kids from Satan or whatever. But yeah, his actual comedy was like Mr. Rogers would probably be, too risque.
Oh God.
I've always had an interest in this. What?
No, go ahead.
I've always had an interest in the Satanic Panic, and I think it's also apropos since it is October. I hate to date this episode, but everyone sees when it's uploaded. But I've always had an interest in the Satanic Panic and how much they get wrong. So when you asked for something like that, I was all too happy to oblige.
Yeah, it is a laugh riot mostly. It's just what? I especially love the year of orgies, and then you get a month off.
Oh my, yeah.
Then it's back to the orgy machine.
But you get a week before Halloween, and then you don't even get a day off after Halloween.
Yeah, and just gotta keep the orgy going. Can't stop.
But
you throughout the year, you work for about 60 days. You can work, and the rest of it's just orgy time.
I got fired again.
God. Does that mean that welfare and unemployment are signs of satanic ritual abuse?
Like I said, you'd have to be addicted to Viagra.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have to
so addicted that it doesn't even work anymore.
Literally, after November 4th. Are you okay?
I finally get a break, please. No, come on, we gotta prepare for the next one in December. Oh God, please save me.
Like you said, there's so many kidnapping and sacrifice. If this was going on, surely someone would notice that we have no population.
There is no California anymore. It has been completely depopulated. There's not even the ritual people living there anymore because they had to move out to find more people to sacrifice. And that was just the first year.
Oh, jeez. So again, the thing I want you to take away from this, other than the laughing and the whole, the child sex thing did make me very uncomfortable. But I just want you to remember that this was not like Pat Robertson or some, fundy weird. I mean, yeah, it was a fundy weirdo, but this was actually paid for by the cops, and it was taken seriously.
Our tax dollars went into this. Innocent people's lives were ruined.
Yes, and
many innocent lives.
Many innocent lives were ruined, and many innocent lives were affected because, remember, they went to school like PTA people, and told them that, if you wear black clothes, you're a Satanist, or if you listen to King Diamond, you're a Satanist, or if you listen to Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, if you listen to Black Sabbath, Satanist.
Yes, and
you listen to Led Zeppelin, you're a Satanist.
Marilyn Manson. Oh, if you listen to Marilyn Manson, you're
worse than a Satanist.
Yeah. Well, I told you he was still the boogeyman when I was in school.
Yeah, I know.
He was still. It was interesting because there were so many myths about him. They weren't. I mean, they made.
And now he looks like a grandmother.
And now he's being arrested for beating his wife.
And he looks like a grandmother.
That's hilarious. But I mean, it was weird because there were so many urban legends about him that kids would tell, like they were talking about,
He removed 3 of his ribs so he could suck his own dick.
He killed puppies on stage.
Mm-hmm.
That was, but we would tell them, like, don't, like. I'll be there in a second. We would tell him like he was, this mythical creature. Well, Jim, I think we've waffled on enough. This has been the Swine Brothers episode 194, I should say. You can email the show at Cosmicgodsdie@gmail.com, Facebook at Swine Brothers, and like, comment, and please share this show.
Yeah, share the fuck out of it. We suck at promotion.
Subscribe and do all the. And if you want more videos, send us some videos you'd like us to rip. We'll do it. If they're good.
Mm-hmm.
If they're bad, then we won't. If they're bad, we'll listen to them. Anyway, for the Jim, I'm Ellie. We'll see you later.
I'm going to have to cancel the next show. It's Orgy Week again.
Yeah, I gotta go. The orgy's coming up.